So will we be having a guest speaker right now? Because as scheduled, she was supposed to come at 1:35.
As soon as he comes, you know the name, you have been in charge. In the meantime, you can start with the roll call.
Right.
Stop the proceedings, but as soon as the guest speaker comes, we will interrupt and we'll open the floor.
Right. Thank you. Delegates, everybody is requested to please switch on their camera and also rename themselves. The format has been sent on the chat.
Good morning, honorable chairs. This is Delegate of Grace.
All right. Thank you, Delegate. Everybody, we're giving you 30 seconds to switch on your cameras. Otherwise, we won't be proceeding with the attendance. I hope all the delegates know that you mark your attendance by either saying present or present in voting. So we'll be starting now. Afghanistan. The delegate of Afghanistan. Albania. Argentina. Australia. The delegate of Australia.
Present and voting.
All right. Bangladesh. Delegate of Bangladesh. Belgium.
Present and voting.
Brazil. That's Belgium, right?
Yes.
Brazil. Cameroon.
Present.
Cambodia.
Present and voting.
Chile.
Present.
China. Colombia. Cuba. Cuba.
Present and voting.
Thank you. Czech Republic. Denmark.
Present and voting.
Ecuador. The delegate of Ecuador. Egypt. Ethiopia. Finland. France. Gabon.
Yes, I'm here.
Delegate, do you identify with present or present in voting?
I'm the delegate of this committee.
Delegate, do you identify with present or present in voting? Present in voting means that you'll be able to vote in the substantive documentation for the DR, draft resolution.
Actually, I don't know how to answer the question. I will be here to debate with you about all the problems
Quoi?
in,
Hello, my name is Sophia.
for this committee.
Attends. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Delegates, we have our guest speaker for today, Miss Joanna Perron. A very good afternoon, ma'am. It's a great honor to have you with us today. Joanna, ma'am, was the Secretary General for Oxford MUN 2022 last year, and we're so grateful to have you with us today, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am. We would love to hear from you.
Thank you. So first of all, good afternoon for you, good morning for me. I am Joanna. As your chairperson said, I was the SG for Oxford MUN 2022. I am also a PhD student at the University of Oxford, where I research femicide and applications of femicide in Brazilian law. And I also have a master's in women's studies from the University of Oxford, a BA in international relations from the University of Sussex. And I recently have been writing to a variety of different outlets about gender violence. And today I'm here to talk a little bit about that with you. So since I have some time to share my experiences with you, I want this to be a little bit of interaction. So I might ask you questions. I would appreciate if you answered it in the chat or by unmuting the mic, because it makes just the whole experience a lot more pleasant to everyone. So I start out by asking you to just think and write in the chat maybe, what are the issues that we have with the category of femicide in like applications of the category of femicide in law? What are things that you think are still problems or concerns that might still be around? You don't have to be too elaborate. Just put some ideas in the chat so we can get the discussion rolling.
Delegates, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. It'll also help you with your research, so please do interact with.
Cool. I see. I already see one. That's great. Another one. And we're going to the legal definition. Femicide is not even considered a real problem in many places. That's great. Anything else? Okay, we're gonna get started with those two, and then if other things pop up in the chat, I will go back to them. So one of the many reasons I think why we consider femicide and we now talk about femicides is exactly what the delegate of the Netherlands has just said, right? The reason why we name something femicide is that then we acknowledge that the problem exists. Oh, I see a little hand raised. Yes.
Sorry, I don't say present and voting because I am late.
It's okay.
And Saudi Arabia is next to me, and she's late, so she is here. Okay, thank you.
It's okay. I see people's attitudes. Femicides are called under killing in some places. That's great. Thanks. That's great. So what I would say is, like, so when we name something femicide, that means we're ascribing it a category, right? We are giving it a name. So someone, delegate of the Bahamas said, you know, sometimes they're just called honor killings and as justification. So then we don't have the category, so we cannot implement the law. Great. But then there is a second problem, as someone is saying, right? Like, what is the legal definition of femicide, and what does it leave behind, and what does it keep in? When we consider all these things, I'm going to touch on the other subjects that are raised in the chat, so don't worry. We then create both a solution and a problem, right? The solution is, the self-proclaimed solution is, let's create a legal category for femicide, so then we can investigate femicide. We can number it, we can name it, we can create statistics for it. And that's all really great. But then the problem is, how are we doing that? What are the structures that are in place to name something femicide? What things get named femicide? And how does the law get applied? And who says that what femicide is, right? Someone else said on the chat, women are able to speak for themselves regarding femicide is similar to them considering a normal practice. That is true. Also, femicide is in a way, a crime in which there is no victim advocates directly because the victims are killed. So because you have no victim to claim for the experience, there is an outsider perspective of femicide, right? Like no one who is a victim of femicide can speak about their experience. Victims of attempted femicide might be able to speak about their experience, but there is a difference between an attempted femicide and a femicide, right? So what we have left is this kind of impression of this person in society, and then the people who speak for this person are sometimes family members, are sometimes victim advocates, and all of that. So I see a lot of answers in the chat, so thank you everyone for that. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. I want to make a note just quickly that my research is, well, upsetting. So everything is in Portuguese, and I will try not translate anything that is very upsetting, but it's just useful for you to have a general idea of what I'm talking about. So I see another great femicide can affect women's health, not enough awareness, different meanings of femicide in different cultures. That's true. Some laws don't make a differentiation between murder and femicide, which is also true, which is why there is a need for a legal category, because there is a difference between a homicide and a femicide. So sometimes what I see when I talk about femicide, and you might have had this experience when you were doing your research, is, let me see if I can just share the screen here.
Amity
Can you
University.
see my screen?
Amity University, I would request you to please focus on Joanna ma'am, please. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I'm just gonna quickly, can you see my screen? Oh, I clicked the wrong button, sorry. There. Oh, it's moved very slowly. There we go. Can we all see my screen? Can you just do a little thumbs up or say in the chat that you can see my screen? Oh.
We can see us.
Okay.
It's
Still
loading now.
for me. Oh, it's loading now.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just loading for everyone. That's great. So
We can see it now.
This, for example, is a showcase. So we were talking about the difference between femicide and murder, right? This is the showcase of 3 years in Brazilian, a snapshot of Brazilian scenarios. So this red show here is everything that got categorized as a homicide in which the victim was female. And this is what was classified as femicide. And you can see from 2017 to 2019 that there is a growth, right? A regular growth of crimes that get categorized as femicide. Does anyone want to share in the chat why do they think that is?
Please, can you repeat your question?
Why do you think that the number of femicides is increasing in this table? Bringing up impunity in society. That's great. Anyone else?
We have a raised hand.
Oh, go for it.
Maybe because the definition of a femicide evolves and we are more interested in the causes of a homicide, so the number increases because we pay more attention.
Great. Yeah, and I see other things. Unreported cases, perpetrators escaping the justice system, inadequate legal frameworks. So I think that there are all of the things that you're saying are possibly true. Delegate of Greece, do you want to add one thing?
Thank you, respected speaker. I would like to add that the feelings of impunity in society could not only act as tolerance for femicides, but also as acceptance. Or also, women would have been urged to report and speak up for themselves. So probably that could also be the reason for more reported cases. Thank you.
Right. That's great. Thanks. So I see a lot of like answers and questions, but I think that the answer here is much more simple. The question is, more crimes are being classified as femicides. We cannot make the extrapolation of the fact that there is increased amount of femicides, meaning that there are more femicides in this, rather than saying the fact that we now have a legal category called femicide means that more homicides of women are classified as femicides. Because what we see as well on the side is that there is like a decrease on homicides of women as the same as there is an increase of numbers of femicides, which means that now what we have is a legal categorization being taken more seriously. So in the case of Brazil, femicide got implemented in 2015 in law, which means that consistently since 2015, we had more and more femicides every year. While that can be argued that there is an increase in gender violence, there has been no study to show that that is absolutely the case. What we can see though is that more and more the law and the society are acknowledging that these cases that were previously labeled homicides of women are now labeled femicides. And you are going to say, okay, that's great. That's what we want, right? We want those things. But what I wanted to go back to is what was saying earlier. I see Delegate, what I was saying earlier about other problems, right? You guys said on your chat, we were like, well, what is about the ambiguity of the law? So why the numbers keep increasing? Why there wasn't just one increase when the law got implemented and then that got sorted and now we have a clear picture? What about the cases that are going unreported? What about the cases that are being named something else? And the reason for those failures of like legal systems to address femicide is because, as someone said in the chat as well, there are other components beyond the law. One of them is education, the other one is awareness, the other is a cultural, I would say, setup for femicide. So what we see in all of these different moving parts of femicide is that the legal systems, they are not only comprised of the letter of the law, but also how society receives and sees that law. What I do in my research is to look at what is being said about femicide. So maybe we can have a look at that and then we can have a conversation about it real quickly. I know that I don't have that much time, but I feel like this will be very interesting. Oh, oops. You guys are gonna see all my answers. Oh my God, that's my computer is great. As you can see, there you go. Wow, that's great. I just want to go to one slide specifically, and my computer is not letting me, but it's fine. Let's see if you go like this. Okay, that's good. So I'm going to translate this for you on the fly, okay, because it's in Portuguese. But let's look at the second text here. So this is about a case in 2019. This says like the main suspicion of the police was that the young woman was killed in a fight that was provoked by a crisis of jealousy, right? And here is a similar thing, right? Is a different case from 2021. So Bruno Simões dos Santos, of 36, was accused of killing his girlfriend of the same age, during a crisis of jealousy in a party in São Vicente, in the seaside of São Paulo. What do you think that this says about femicide? So these two cases were named femicide. They are cases that were called femicide. What do you think that they say about femicide if you see that this is what the newspaper is saying about the cases? Yes, Delegate of Greece.
Thank you, respected chair again. Delegate of Greece what Delegate of Greece believes, reading from this newspaper, is that the newspaper is trying to point out the killing of women from an intimate partner. And there could be many possible reasons and causes for that, usually personal, but the basic information that newspaper is providing is a killing of a woman from an intimate partner. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to say anything in the chat? Okay, that's fine. Don't worry about it. So that's great, right? Is Delegate of Greece said, yes, it is the killing of women by an intimate partner, which, by the way, is the easiest, like, is the most commonly identified case of femicide compared to other cases, because of like a raising awareness on issues of, for example, domestic violence. But it also says something else, right? There is a, and that's my work. So there is an underlying narrative to this. There is this couple, or this woman who gets killed because someone is in a crisis, in this crisis of jealousy, in which they kind of lose touch with reality, and then they are killing their partners or another woman at the party because they're jealous, and that justifies, not explicitly, but it's the reason why the woman gets killed. Why is that a problem when we are thinking of femicide? Does anyone want to think about why this kind of framing would be an issue from a legal point? Delegate agrees.
Thank you, respected chair. Delegate of Greece thinks that this could be an issue from the legal point of view because this could be not be considered as, something really serious. And because they had been a couple, there had been acceptance from the side of the female. So, and many personal reasons could be added here. So for the killings. So from the legal point of view, this might not be considered as serious as the other femicide cases. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great. I think that this is a great point, but I think another thing that we need, and that's I'm going to start wrapping up here, is what are the narratives that are showing up in this? The information seems incomplete and the intent cannot be determined properly. Yeah, that's also that, right? We don't have, as I said, like there is, unless you go through every specific police report, there isn't really like a way to look at femicide on the whole, especially because the victim isn't there to speak for themselves, right? So the perpetrator can say, well, I was jealous and that's the reason. And that is kind of taken at face value. But also what we see here is that there are other narratives around femicide that are here. So there is this kind of like idea of love and feeling being super important for femicide, that there is a fight or like there is like an action and a reaction to the reason of femicide exists. And all of this, they kind of like feed back into what you were saying earlier about cultural parallels of femicide. So even if we are classifying femicide correctly, in this case, it was classified correctly, the narratives that are around femicide, they're still there, and they're still like maintaining an idea that femicide is somehow either justified or understandable from the point of view of a romantic narrative. So the reason why I brought this up, and I wanted to bring this as your part of your discussion, is because a lot of the things that we talk about the inadequate legal frameworks, the unreported cases, the perpetrators escaping the justice system, on the failures of the legal systems to deal with femicide, also a link to this idea that femicide, as much as other forms of gender violence, is ultimately a very personal, private problem that is caused by an excess of feeling or an excess of love from the part of one person towards another. And this idea that there is a hurt feelings that are part of the femicide problem create an inability of the state to intervene, because the state has been historically, there has been a lot of division between what is public and what is private, right? So based on these things, what do you think could be ideas on how to rethink femicide in a way that it can be integrated into the legal system? Just put some ideas in the chat. I know that you're going to be discussing this in the next 2 days, but it'd just be a good idea to see some of your ideas in the chat. Delegate Greece, I know you have your hand up, so if you also want to say something.
Thank you, respected chair. Would it be all right if I present my views and ideas vocally?
I mean, this is not part of your debate. It's just some ideas it's just some ideas. So if you can type it in the chat, it would be nicer because then you all can go back to it.
Okay, thank you, chair.
That's okay. It's not part of, you don't have to speak as your country, right? Right now, I just want to listen to you. So don't worry about following your country position. Just thinking of what I said about these ideas of feelings, about these ideas of framing, what are proposals that could be out there that would make the legal system more able to deal with femicide? You don't have to worry about being too, you're not being judged on this. Right. Well, like there are no answers, I'm gonna go back to some things that people said earlier. So the delegate of Nigeria had said earlier, like education plays an important role in femicide. That's a good example of something that can be implemented. So if we are able to shift the framework from love and feeling into, actions of gender violence, misogyny, controlling behavior, those shifts, they are important in order for the law to be able to address it, right? If we bring it outside of the home, outside of the private, early intervention and risk assessment, that is great, right? Like the setup of groups that can support spot these issues when they are early on. Reassess language and criteria in the framework, that's great. Like if we're thinking on like the law itself, what is the law saying that might give the idea that femicide is part of a love story, right? Raising awareness, changing the mindset of people, making more specific laws for femicide. That is true. We need to make more specific laws. And then I see some more. Data should be gender segregation. Awareness needs to be spread to various mediums. Potential victims, more information. Yeah, see, there are lots of those issues. And the reason that we need to think about failures of legal systems to address femicide, and in this I'm gonna wrap up my talk about femicide, is that legal systems, they don't exist in a vacuum, right? And someone said like all different forms of femicide should be separate laws. That is a possibility as well. It depends a lot on the legal system and how that is set up as well. But femicide, legal like definitions of femicide, they don't exist in a vacuum. The legal system does not exist in and only for itself. It interacts with a lot of other moving parts in society. And because it does so, it needs to also be understood holistically. So as you said, like a law that deals with femicide doesn't only need to deal with the moment of femicide and saying femicide exists. That is an important aspect of the femicide law. But the other parts that are important for femicide law are understanding how it develops, how we can address it, and how we can prevent it. Not only who gets jailed after femicide happens, because ultimately is what you all said earlier, right? There are fundamental educational awareness, cultural issues that make femicide possible, that just naming the category of femicide doesn't solve. What then you have is a case like we just saw, right? A crime that was a femicide that is still following the scripts and narratives of crimes that would be named something else. There is no qualitative leap between saying this woman was killed in a femicide due to jealousy than saying this woman was killed in a homicide due to jealousy, because ultimately you're not blaming gender violence or misogyny, you are blaming jealousy. Does that make sense? So yeah, and as someone, you all talked a little bit about healthcare perspectives. Someone said about mental health. these are all really important issues. And like, as someone who has done MUN, I know how hard it is to bring all of these things together, but I have absolute like certainty that you are all very well prepared. I really recommend that you, when you look at femicide, you think about the moving parts of society. The best laws are not the laws that are more specifically targeted, just one specific thing. The best laws look at a holistic problem in society, and femicide is a holistic problem. So I'm gonna wrap up now. I don't know if I think I kind of overran because I was listening to you guys talk as well. But I don't know if I have time to answer any questions about, I can talk about, you know, MUN, but also about femicide. So if there is time, Chair, I don't know if there is time, but let me know.
We have 5 minutes.
So yeah, I'm gonna like let you ask me questions, either about femicide research, or you can also ask about a little bit about MUN if you want, because I've been doing MUN for, I don't know, 15 years now. So happy to chat about that too.
Delegates who wants to ask question from Joanna ma'am, please raise their hands. Delegate of Greece.
Thank you, sir. Firstly, I would like to ask, how is it to your experiences in MUN, because those could be a very good guidance as for a first timer, and also what is necessary to be included in a femicide research rather than the basic things. So like, you know, awareness and from promotion of gender equality could be done.
Okay, so I'm gonna do one by one just because it's quicker. So I think first of all, my MUN experience, I started when I was maybe like 11, my first MUN. And I think the main things that I've learned from MUN experiences, learn from your peers, look at what your peers are doing that you think is good and try and learn from them. And also don't be discouraged if you are not the best at the start, or if you're not the best even later in your life. Like MUN is a consistent learning, and there will always be someone who's better than you and someone who is still learning in the same place as you. And the best way to like make the best of your experiences is to take what you can learn from both those people. Also, on the other point on what needs to be included in femicide research, I would say look not only at the law and at the text of the law, but also what is surrounding the text of the law. Who is making the law? Who is thinking about the category? What are the interests at play in naming something femicide? Or what are the things that are being said about that law that might be shaping how it gets made? Those things make, and you can look at that historically, right? You don't have to look, if the law has already been implemented, you can find what was happening then. Those things are really impactful on how to understand what the law might be doing well and what the laws might be doing not so well. I think my next person was Belgium, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, the delegate of Belgium.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask that while researching about femicide, I came across the fact that murdering a rape victim is not included in femicide. So is it different? Like, how exactly can we differentiate between femicide and murdering a rape victim?
That is a great question, and that varies across legal systems. So there are some countries in which murder followed by rape are classified as femicide. Some countries in Latin America do that. Brazil, for example, doesn't. And the reason for that is also what kind of like issues were, behind the like law being set up, right? For example, one of the big pushes in Brazil for the implementation of the femicide law was domestic violence. So that is the law really skews heavily towards that. Whereas, for example, if you look at cases of like Mexico, the question of like sexual violence followed by murder are much more prominent. So the analysis of femicides in that region, in that country, seem to focus much more on that. So I personally don't think that there is a difference. I don't think that all like sexual violence cases followed by murder should be considered femicides, but this is also due to like my experience in my work, right? So as I said, going back to what I said in the previous question, it's all about the context in which the legal category is emerging.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we don't have time for more questions, but thank you so much, Ms. Joanna. I'm pretty sure all the delegates have learned so much that will better navigate their research and help them form better arguments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for hosting me. It was really great to meet you all. I wish you all the best in your debate in the next few days. And I'm really excited to see what you come up with. Have a wonderful day and nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. Delegates, please recognize the presence of Sumit sir. Okay, we'll be proceeding now.
You may proceed. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Since a lot of delegates missed roll call and joined after we conducted roll call, we'll quickly be reconducting it. Also, delegates, from tomorrow onwards, everybody is supposed to join the committee 5 minutes prior. Otherwise, we'll be marking you absent. Afghanistan. Albania.
Present and voting.
Argentina. Australia.
Present and voting.
Bangladesh. Belgium.
Present and voting.
This is the delegate of?
Bangladesh.
All right, thank you. Belgium.
Present and voting.
Brazil.
Present and voting.
Cameroon.
Present.
Cambodia.
Present and voting.
Canada.
Present and voting.
Chile. China.
Present and voting.
Present and voting.
All right, thank you. Colombia.
Present and voting.
Cuba. Czech Republic. The delegate of Czech Republic. Denmark.
Present and voting.
Ecuador. Egypt.
Present and
Ethiopia. Finland.
Present and voting.
France. Gabon.
Present and voting.
Germany.
Present.
Ghana.
Present and voting.
Greece.
Present and voting.
Hungary.
Present and voting.
India. Indonesia.
Present and voting.
Iran.
Present and voting.
Israel.
Present and voting.
Italy, Japan,
Present voting, ma'am.
Jordan, Kenya, Malaysia,
Present and voting.
Mexico,
Present and voting.
Mozambique,
Present.
Delegate of Netherlands,
Present and voting.
New Zealand,
Present and voting.
Niger, Nigeria,
Present and voting.
Norway, Delegate of Norway, Pakistan, Peru,
Present and voting.
Philippines,
Present.
Portugal, Republic of
and voting.
Korea,
Present and voting.
Russian Federation,
Present and voting.
Saudi Arabia,
Present and voting.
Singapore,
Present. Present.
Slovakia, South Africa,
Present and voting.
Spain,
Present.
Syria, Thailand,
Present and voting. Syria.
Turkey,
Present and voting.
Vietnam, Uganda,
Present and voting.
Ukraine,
Present and voting.
UAE,
Present.
United Kingdom,
Present and voting.
Delegate of USA,
Present. Excuse me, ma'am.
yes.
The Bahamas was not mentioned.
You'll be added, delegate. Sorry for that. Would you identify with present or present in voting?
Present and voting.
All right, thank you.
Excuse me.
Yes.
The delegation of Italy is present and voting.
All right, thank you, delegate. Delegate, please join on time from tomorrow. All right, now we'll be proceeding. Before we proceed, delegates, please apply your country flag as your background. And everybody, please rename yourselves. The format has been sent on the chat. All right. Also, I'll be sending a mail on the chat for all forms of formal documentation. You're supposed to mail it to this ID. Everything excluding position papers. Also, a lot of you sent your position papers this morning, even though the deadline was yesterday. We are accepting them, but every position paper we received after noon will not be accepted. So please adhere to the deadlines. Any form of documentation you'll be sending after the position papers from this point forward will be sent to the mail I've sent on the chat. Do we have any motions on the floor? Delegates, please raise your hands. The delegate of Japan, followed by the delegate of the Netherlands, followed by the delegate of China.
I'm really sorry to disturb the flow of the committee, but is the EB looking for any points? Because I personally had parliamentary inquiries.
All right, delegate, you may ask your question.
Right. Ma'am, I had one contention regarding the pre-conference lobbying. Like, how are we supposed to lobby amongst ourselves, either in the Zoom chat box or is there any other group for the same?
Right, delegate. There has been a group that's created on WhatsApp, but that's for executive board purposes. So you're supposed to lobby via the Zoom private window, or you can text delegates on WhatsApp if you know their countries and if you know their numbers. For that, you can use the Zoom chat, but Zoom would be the main medium of lobbying for this committee.
Right. Also, ma'am, considering that as of now we don't have any option to lobby, could you please explain the marking system? For example, how would you be marking the speeches, or what is the chit to verbatim ratio, and what is the provision of chits, for example, in this online committee?
Right. There is a provision for chits, but we'll prefer if you speak up in the committee because chits don't have any points. Also, as for the marking system, we're focusing and we're looking for solutions and analysis of solutions as well as committee impact. As per your verbatim, verbatim will be noted and it's extremely important, but solutions in your verbatim will have a higher marking system than chits.
All right.
Hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Now,
any other? Right. Continue, delegate.
We are recognized for the motion also, right? Can we raise a motion now?
Any procedural questions?
Yeah.
So will the chits be accepted or not?
Chits will be accepted, but they're not highly marked. So we don't
But what's the
appreciate
way of going about it? Like, who do we send them to?
you send them to the executive board via the Zoom private window.
Ma'am, would you be counting joint statements as a chit or as documentation?
We'll be counting it as documentation. So you're supposed to mail it to the ID provided.
All right, thank you.
Ma'am, what would be the final documentation for the committee?
It'll be the draft resolution. We will be having plenty of unmoderated caucuses before we move on to the final debate. So don't worry about that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Delegate, please would like to raise to a point of privilege.
Right, delegate?
Would the delegate be excused to sip water?
Right, delegate, you can drink water as and when you want to. You don't need to raise a point of personal privilege for that.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Chair.
Delegate of UK has a point of parliamentary inquiry.
Right, delegate.
Are backroom negotiations allowed? If yes, then how will you take them?
They are allowed, but providing this is an online conference, there's no possible way of us actually marking them. So we'll be marking you on the basis of committee impact in terms of lobbying in the unmoderated caucus.
Okay.
If you want, we can break you out into breakout rooms during the unmoderated caucus, but then we'll have to, the delegate will have to raise a motion for the same.
Okay, thank you.
Any other points on the floor before we move on to motions?
And the parliamentary inquiry, Chair.
Right, delegate, you recognize.
Will we be having order of disruption or the order of precedence in this committee?
Order of precedence, but if you want to raise an order of disruption, you may.
All right, that works. Also, will we have a point of order, because I've observed in multiple other committees, they simply did not allow us to have point of orders.
Point of orders will be accepted. And because there's no provision for chits separately, we'll also be making POIs mandatory in your general speakers list.
And in the mock caucus speeches, ma'am?
That'll depend on the timing. We'll see to that.
All right. Yeah.
All right, now we'll be looking for motions. Japan, followed by Netherlands, followed by China.
Right. The delegate of Japan would like to establish the journal speakers list for each speaker's time being 90 seconds.
All right, thank you, delegate. Netherlands.
Thank you, Chair, for the recognition. The delegate of Netherlands would like to raise a motion to set the agenda to failures in legal systems with femicides and commence formal debate.
Delegate, please can you specify individual speakers' time and total speakers' time as well?
With individual speakers' time being 90 seconds and total time being 10 minutes.
All right, thank you, delegate.
Point of parliamentary inquiry, ma'am.
Point of order.
Yes, delegate.
This is the GSL. There cannot be a total time, right? Since it's a list that's non-exhaustive. So
it's non-exhausted. Right, it's non-exhausted, but we'll still be accepting the motions as the delegate states them.
Thank you so much.
Individual speakers time being 90 seconds. The delegate of Bahamas.
The delegate had the same motion at Japan as Japan.
All right. By the discussion of the executive board, we will be passing the motion raised by the delegate of Japan, as all the motions were the same, worded differently, with each speaker's time being 90 seconds. All right, so we'll be commencing with the general speakers list. Japan, would you like to go first?
I'm really sorry, ma'am. Please, I think, ma'am, that there's no provision of being either the first or the last speaker in the GSL. It's recognized.
There's no provision of being the last speaker, but you may be the first speaker. If you don't want to, you can let us know.
I'll reserve my right, ma'am. I'll be recognized randomly.
Very sorry.
All right.
Samaya, I'm here. So could you please let me know what the recognition list is like right now? Like, can you just send it to me? I'll just handle that.
Right, everybody, that is our vice chair. So we haven't recognized any delegates as of yet. We just finished with our guest speaker session, and now we'll be recognizing speakers for the general speakers list.
All right.
Any and all delegates wishing to speak in the general speakers list, you may raise your hands now.
We'll take China, followed by South Africa, followed by Denmark, followed by Japan, followed by Egypt, followed by Netherlands, followed by Canada, followed by the Bahamas, followed by Nigeria, followed by Singapore, followed by Greece, followed by Ghana, followed by Cameroon. Yeah, I think that's it for now. We'll just recognize speakers later.
Could the rapporteur please display the timer on the screen?
Also, you can lower your hands right now.
We'll be recognizing more speakers later. Also, we're open to POIs, irrespective of whether the delegate has lapsed their time or not. So please listen to the speeches attentively, delegates.
So we'll take one mandatory POI, right?
Right, one per speech for now.
All right.
So I'm the delegate of China. Am I visible and audible?
Yes, delegate.
All right. I'll start in 3, 2, 1. Women hold up half the sky is a proclamation by Mao Zedong demonstrating how China at the heart of it all is a real doctrine for women empowerment. From launching initiatives like the UN Trust Fund in collaboration with UNESCO, which establishes a multi-sector domestic violence response model, to the Beijing Platform for Action, which is an inspiring and powerful initiative which produced the most progressive blueprint ever for advancing women's rights. Ever since we have set up a fundamental rights of China have been manifested in 6 major areas. Hotlines, shelters, and counseling programs have been set up. Enhancement of data collection has been done. Additionally, China has adopted a pioneering strategy to expand the reach of our legal system, a strategy that can serve as an inspiration for low developing countries. Instead of solely focusing on cases already within the judicial system, we are now addressing cases that may have been overlooked, including those where the police have decided not to prosecute. To further support women seeking justice, China has introduced guide lists for validating medical records, bills, and testimonies of witnesses, which can be inspired from by countries like the USA, where the backlog of unprocessed rape kits has increased rapidly, even though they contain crucial forensic evidence. Another emerging solution involves retracing the final movements of femicide victims and creating a map that compares women's killings in various regions. This map not only highlights the femicide issue, but also makes it relatable, showing how it occurs on the streets of your own city, streets you traverse daily.
Thank you, delegate. Any questions on the floor? The delegate of the United States of America.
Right, ma'am. So this will be considered as a POI, right?
Right.
Okay. So why is China hailed accusations in the US during the speech? China has 30 million more men than women and a high case of female feticide because of China's one-child policy. The amount of females killed in China over the past years during the one-child policy have accounted to the problem of femicide being even more severe than the country. in this case, how can the country say that their policies have been working towards improving femicide, whereas all they're giving is light sentences and conducting female feticide by policies such as the one-child policy?
Oh, can I? Firstly, point of order, a POI cannot be that long. Secondly, it's kind of contradictory how domestic violence affects approximately around 3 crore women, pregnant women each year in the USA. And as for China having domestic violence, Article 49 of the Chinese Constitution provides that it is prohibited to abuse the elderly women. Article 104 of the General Principles of Civil Law provides that law protects marriage, family, the elderly. A lot of articles have been launched in China's constitution in itself to protect women.
That will not be granted. Also, delegate, you cannot raise a point of order for the length of a point of information. It's only used for factual inaccuracies. But thank you, delegate.
Thank you.
Next, we have South Africa.
Yes. Am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are, delegate.
Okay, I'll be starting in 3, 2, and 1. Throughout the committee, we aim to discuss the loopholes in the legal framework surrounding the horrendous practice of femicides. A lot of countries talked about the need for thriving gender equality. But where does the equality go when a woman is murdered solely because of the gender she did not choose? Where does the gender equality go when a woman has to obtain permission for a partner to possess a passport? Where does the gender equality go when a woman cannot file for divorce without a partner's permission? Delegates, we exist and thrive in a world where oppression and regression captures the lives of women, while justice and equality are pushed down behind the curtains. From all of this said above, I would like to quote the historical figure and emblem of freedom of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, who said freedom cannot be achieved unless women have been emancipated from all forms of oppression. Distinguished attendees, no nation is perfect, and South Africa takes that into firm account. South Africa does not claim itself as a perfect nation. Over the years, this nation has signed as well as ratified UN conventions that pledge to extinguish the gruesome violation of women's rights. South Africa has signed and ratified the UN Convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination. South Africa used to face an epidemic of structural and direct violence for a country almost 30 years its post-apartheid dispensation. We as countries must initiate a thorough review of existing legal frameworks to identify qualifications that may limit or hinder women's right or participation. Examine the language, criteria, and condition to assess whether they are fair, gender sensitive, and conducive to promoting women's involvement. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. The delegate of Cambodia, you're recognized for a POI.
Thank you so much for the recognition, Chair. So, Delegate, your nation is said to have the highest rate of femicide cases according to the latest reports. And though your nation has taken some steps to stop the femicides, it is not able to. So, how can you justify the further procedures that you will undergo so that the femicide cases are halted soon as possible?
Yes, Delegate. So very recently in the July of 2023, as you talked about the new legal frameworks, very recently the South African government has introduced new laws and stronger legislation. For example, it expands the definition of incest, and it also provides better protection for survivors. Along with that, South Africa also set up a female panel discussion for which the new legislation can be stronger and more gender inclusive.
Okay, thank you, delegate. Next, we have the delegate of Denmark.
Yes, am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are, delegate.
I'll be starting in 1, 2, 3. Honorable Chair and esteemed delegates, the delegation of Denmark stands before you to address the critical issue of femicides and the failures of legal systems in addressing this heinous crime. Despite international efforts, we must acknowledge that many countries have not effectively tackled this problem. El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico continue to grapple with high rates of femicides. Some solutions that I, as the delegate of Denmark, would like to propose are: firstly, it is imperative to recognize the root causes and work to eradicate those. This can be done through education and awareness, essentially in young people and children, so that they can be safeguarded from dating violence. Women should be empowered by implementing policies that promote women's economic independence, such as equal pay for equal work, enabling them to achieve financial autonomy and reduce their vulnerability to violence. Merely enacting laws is not sufficient. We must strengthen legal frameworks to ensure that femicides are explicitly criminalized and close legal loopholes that enable perpetrators to escape justice. There should be comprehensive support for services for victims of femicides, including shelters, helplines, counseling services, and legal aid. Promotion of healthy masculinity by encouraging men to actively participate in campaigns and initiatives would promote gender equality, respectful relationships, and nonviolent behaviors. In conclusion, Denmark, along with other like-minded nations, stands ready to take concrete steps towards a future where women are safe, empowered, and free from the threat of femicide. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. The delegate of the UAE, you recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Delegate, I really like to ask a question. Like Denmark over there, the cases of femicides have been stable since the past 25 years. And so what basic concrete steps you are taking to create to decrease the amount of femicides in Denmark?
Denmark believes in zero tolerance policy, and that is why we try to find the root causes of femicides and prevent them at that level. Also, Denmark believes in eradicating it and instilling information at a younger level. That is why, as a part of Denmark national plan, we have severe policies for dating violence, so that children who are the future of this world are also aware and femicide rates decrease. And that is why we have stable femicide rates for a lot of years now.
Thank you, Delegate. Next, we have the delegate of Japan.
Excuse me, Chair, sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to ask that the delegate of Cambodia wants to send a chit to the delegate of Denmark. So it has to be sent through the Zoom chat box.
Through the Zoom private window. Yes, Delegate.
Yeah, so like I have to message you privately or through everyone.
Delegate, do you wish to send a chit to the delegate of Denmark or to the chair?
I want to send the delegate. I want to send the chit to the delegate of Denmark via EB.
Delegate, then you may direct message the chair and the delegate of Denmark.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Right, the delegate of Japan.
Right, I'll be starting in a cell countdown, ma'am.
Delegate, would it be possible for you to switch on your camera?
I'm really sorry, ma'am, since I'm traveling, so I really cannot switch on my camera because there might be some bandwidth issues. So if you
no problem, Delegate. That's
right.
Okay.
I'll be starting in 3, 2, 1. Now, respected delegates, as the discussion commences, we need to understand the fact that legal system regarding femicide need to be revamped or modified in order to provide the better enhancement of policies regarding femicide. Now, Ms. Chairperson, explaining so as to how legal system, irrespective of criminalization of femicide, has failed. Taking the example of Guatemala's law against femicide and the other forms of violence against women, the Congressional Decree number 22/2008, the decree defines and criminalizes femicide and other forms of violence against women. It details what various state agencies and actors must do. But however, the fact is that, ma'am, it only has the maximum sentence of 3 years for a femicide, which is 30 to 60% less than the average imprisonment of femicide internationally. Now, while talking about framework and legal system, we need to understand two primary resolutions and legislation. First is the UNGA Resolution 73/148. This emphasized that the comprehensive and coordinated measures which should be taken to prevent and respond to femicide. Second is the European Parliament Resolution 2019/2819 on the femicide in Europe. The European Parliament had passed and emphasized the need for a data collection of research on femicides. But however, the fact is, Ms. Chairperson, that 20 countries have failed to provide any data since the past 10 years. Now, this basic solution for this is, Ms. Chairperson, that bolster policy-oriented advocacy coalitions and refine capacities, including those of media outlets, civil society groups, and research academic institutions. Now, despite the heterogeneity of national approaches, the need for accurate and timely data collection has gathered more relevance as evidence in the GA Resolution 70/176. Taking action against gender-related killings is one of the most priority which should be taken by each member state in the national legislation. That's it. Thank you so much, Ms. Chairperson.
Thank you, Delegate. Also, Delegate, please do not address your speech to any specific member. It's to the entire council. So you don't need to refer in third person pronouns. Also, if your cameras are not switched on, you will not be considered for the award. Of course, this is not directed to the delegate of Japan. If you have a valid reason and you've informed us prior to delivering your speech, you will still be considered. But if you've not switched on your camera and don't have a valid reason, then you will not be considered for the award. Please keep this in mind, delegates. As for the question, the delegate of Indonesia, you're recognized.
Yes. So according to our research, 90% of victims of femicides in Japan were before stalked. So how do you stop the stalking of victims?
Right. Ma'am, may we answer the question?
Yes, delegate, you may.
Right. So, delegation of Indonesia, we believe that answer to this question would be better explained by the policies which we have implemented. So in the past 25 years, Japanese policy has been more towards an aggressive approach towards femicide, because largely we are the only country who have redeveloped ourselves 3 times, which is much more than any other country in the whole world. So the redevelopment of our country has led to many policies. For example, the 3-year policy plan in 2019, which specified that gender-based violence should be made illegal in all concepts of international law. So that these policies which have been introduced during legislation process of Japan have led to the eradication of femicide. That is why we have been performing well even in the GVC index as well as the SSV index.
Thank you, delegate. The delegate of Egypt, you have the floor.
Yeah, so I'll be starting in 1, 2, 3. There is one universal truth that violence against women is never acceptable, never excusable, never tolerable. The delegate of Egypt is deeply concerned about the rising number of femicides in the country and around the world. As per published femicide rate data, there is increased by 50% worldwide and 20% in Egypt in the last decade. This is a staggering statistics, and it is clear that the legal system is failing to protect women and girls from violence. There are a number of reasons. First, many femicides go unreported. As a solution, we are strengthening the reporting of mechanisms of femicides. A national hotline has been set up which provides victims with access to support services and information about their legal rights. Second, the perpetrators are often not brought to justice due to inadequate police investigations, weak prosecutions, and lenient sentences. Laws like Article 236, 237, and 238 have been passed, which guarantees life imprisonment and death penalty to the prosecutors of the femicide crimes. Police officers with adequate training on gender-based violence and specialized courts are set up. We are providing access to mental health services, financial assistance, and safe housing. We are running awareness campaigns to educate public and challenging the cultural norms. The financial cost of femicides is globally $1.5 trillion each year, and the amount around $10 billion in Egypt. This is a significant burden on the economy, and we are still bearing it on priority even though the country is dealing through 40% inflation. We agree that the violence against women knows no boundaries. Join Egypt in helping women worldwide who have suffered unthinkable violence. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. The delegate of China, you recognized.
Delegate of Egypt mentioned in their speech about a strong reporting mechanism that Egypt is known for, but Egypt is also known for having a terrible unreported femicides rate. How do you support your
So
delegate?
Can I answer?
Yes, delegate.
Yeah. So the National Council for Women, or NCSW in Egypt, is the primary organization responsible for addressing the domestic violence. So the NCW operates a national hotline for victims of domestic violence, which is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The hotline provides confidential support and advice to victims, and can also help them to access services such as legal assistance and medical care. According to the data in 2022, the NCW received over 60,000 calls to its domestic violence hotline. This represents a 20% increase in the previous year. The majority of the callers were 85% women, and most common types of abuse reported were physical violence, 40%, and emotional abuse, 30%, and sexual violence, 20%. And so the NCW's hotline is an important resource for victims of domestic violence in Egypt. It provides a safe and confidential way for victims to get help and support. Ma'am, is that the answer of the question?
the delegate of China can confirm and answer the delegate of Egypt's question. Has the delegate's question
Yes.
been answered? All right, thank you. Next, we have the delegate of Netherlands.
Chair, I wanted to ask something regarding
Yes.
the POI
Yes.
system.
Delegate, you may raise a point of parliamentary inquiry and ask your question, please.
Okay, so Chair, I have a point of parliamentary inquiry. Can the number of POIs asked to a particular delegate be increased, since many of us are not able to ask the POIs again to the delegates? If we want to, and it has also been said by you that the chits are not being accepted and not being marked.
Right, delegate. That will be in order. Thank you, delegate. We will be having 2 POIs per speech now. This may vary though after this list is exhausted. Thank you. Any other? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, just one doubt from the end of the delegate of Japan side. Ma'am, is there any recognition sheet being maintained so as to the number of POIs per delegate? So there is an equal chance of POIs for the committee?
Yes, delegate. We're trying to give every delegate a chance. There is a recognition sheet that's being maintained.
Thank you.
The delegate of Netherlands.
All right, I would be starting off in 3, 2, 1. Greetings to the distinguished delegates and the executive board. For years, women have done all they can to fight for equal rights and challenge the status quo, asking that they be treated fairly. From the staunch suffragists of the 19th century to the modern day feminists fighting for equal pay of equal work, an end to the domestic violence that women suffer, access to legal and safe abortions, and the right to not be incessantly abused at the workplace or any other place where women can be found. Late 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century was a very dark period for women in the Netherlands. Dutch women didn't have a voice in society and were subordinate to men. They were tasked with taking care of the family while the man worked to earn money. Women's rights in the Netherlands are a central focus of local politics as people work for the betterment of women, not only in Netherlands, but around the world now. Through lobbying and the passage of legislation, the Netherlands is ahead of many countries around the world in terms of the betterment of women and women's rights. Betterment of women includes, but is not limited to, eliminating child rights, educating young girls, combating intimate partner violence and violence against women, enforcing the necessity of women in negotiating peace talks in UN Resolution 1325. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. The delegates of Spain and South Africa, you've been recognized. The delegate of Spain, please fix your country spelling. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not able to change the thing right now. I will do so.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay, so the Netherlands is known to sign the Istanbul Convention, which is known, which is a human rights treaty on preventing and combating violence against women and domestic violence. But it has been seen that Netherlands is an all-time high in numericals with domestic violence killings. So, are there any actual steps being taken, or is it all just a sham?
Yes. Based on that, last year there were a lot of cases reported as per domestic violence, and due to those being recorded, the European Institute for Gender Equality, it has made sections, and even the Dutch Criminal Code has made sections called the 287 and 289, 287, 288, and 289, which also include manslaughter. And in that, they are working on femicides not as a different legal not as a legal problem, but as killing on itself. Domestic violence has reduced since then, but there are no numerically statistics available as of now, but it surely has reduced with interventions from the government of Netherlands.
Thank you, delegate. The delegate of Canada, you have the floor.
Excuse me. I think I was recognized for the points of information.
All right. I'm so sorry, delegate. You may ask a question.
One thing, I'm really sorry to interrupt. I want to ask who asked the POI from delegate of South Africa.
Oh, yes.
Who asked the POI from your speech?
Cambodia.
Okay, and Denmark? Who asked the POI from Denmark? Did we not have them?
I did.
We
Delegate of
did.
UAE. Delegate of UAE.
All right. Okay, thank you. South Africa, you may ask your POI.
Okay, Netherlands, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Delegate, in your opinion, what is the role of civil society organizations or the grassroots movements in advocating for legal reforms or raising awareness for femicides, and how can they be effectively supported by the government in your country?
The delegate of Netherlands believes that whether we have a civil society organization or any other movements or not, what is important is that we safeguard the women's rights, because in the end, it all ends back to coming of humanity and coming off as a human. And if I speak in terms of Netherlands, then femicide is a hate crime which is broadly defined as the intentional killing of women or girls just because they're females, with obviously definitions varying based on cultural context. And to my surprise, the Netherlands does not have any definition of femicide. Regardless, this type of offense may fall under other provisions of the law. So in the end, whether it's a civil rights organization or a society organization, all what matters is that we safeguard the women's right on our own as a person and not blame it on the other countries or other people.
Right. Okay.
Point of parliamentary inquiry, Chair.
Yes, delegate.
The delegate of Bahamas would like to know after which speaker it is.
The delegate of Bahamas is after the delegate of Canada. So next to next.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
The delegate of Canada, you have the floor.
Ma'am, before that, I'm really sorry to disturb. Ma'am, we had a point of order on the previous speech.
Right, delegate. You may raise a point of order, but it was not recognized by the executive vote prior. So if you want to raise a point of order when we're recognizing you for POIs, you may raise your hand and ask if you'd like to raise a point of order. But this will be in order for this speech.
Already, ma'am, really sorry, but we had raised our hand prior to that. But ma'am, can we raise a point of order now?
Right, delegate, you can.
So, ma'am, the delegation of ma'am, what was the portfolio of the previous delegation?
It was the Netherlands.
Right. The delegation of Netherlands mentioned in a code, United Nations Resolution 30/25 unquote. However, the fact is that United Nations Resolution 30/25 belongs to the United Nations Human Rights Council, which does not comprehend with the agenda of femicide. However, rather is a regulation of the member states.
Delegate, how were you able to identify that, it's not the case?
Ma'am,
delegate?
Ma'am, maybe clarify that.
Continue.
Because there's a serial number which has been followed and which is generally followed in the United Nations. 170 stands to be the GA, 20 stands to be the HRC, 40 stands to be the CSW, and 60 stands to be the United Nations Security Council resolution. So anything which comprehends under 20 stands to be something under the United Nations Human Rights Council. So now pertaining to that, it is also a regulation. It is a regulation and not a resolution. That was the basic point of order.
So delegate, this point of order will not be in order, providing you mentioned the difference between a regulation and a resolution, but the delegate just used it to reference for her solution. She used it to provide basis and evidence. She didn't state the regulation as a resolution herself.
Is
that clear?
Ma'am, can we just clarify one thing if that is allowed?
Yes, delegate human.
The delegation had mentioned a solution pertaining to the resolution that the resolution 25/30 can be incorporated something related to femicide. However, it is a regulation which is not even related to femicide. It is a regulation of statistics that is submitted for IDPs, which is internally displaced persons. So therefore, IDPs and femicide are way two different things. That was the contention of point of order.
Sorry, my screen froze. Can the delegate please repeat themselves?
For sure. So ma'am, the delegation mentioned that 30/25 resolution can be used as sort of solution to femicide or something like that. But however, the fact is, ma'am, that resolution 30/25 firstly belongs to the Human Rights Council. Secondly, it is a regulation for the statistics of IDPs. Now, something related to internally displaced persons and refugees cannot be comprehended with femicide in CSW. So that stands to be invalid under our supervision. That was the whole contention.
The delegate of Netherlands is saying that it was the resolution 1325 instead of 3025. We will be going over the verbatim of the speech and we'll be deciding if it's in order or not by the discretion of the executive board.
All right, works. Thank you so much.
All right, before moving on to the speech, I think the delegate of India has joined late right now. So would we be taking their roll call?
Right. I've marked them as present in voting as I got their message on the personal window.
All right. Perfect. Yeah.
The delegate of Canada, you have the floor.
Yeah. May I start?
Yes, delegate.
Okay. As the winter sun dipped below the horizon on a cold Wednesday in June, hundreds of men and women gathered to see a horrific sign. A soon-to-be mother, daughter, friend, and a hardworking woman was beheld in front of them, dripped from blood from torso to toe hanging from a tree. Good afternoon, fellow delegates and honorable chair. The delegate of Canada strongly holds against femicide. In 2020, 47,000 women and girls were killed around the world. And in 2021, 173 women and girls were killed in Canada. This number being higher in many countries like El Salvador and South Africa. This is the 21st century and mindsets need to be changed. Despite the fact that in Canada, femicide targets Indigenous women and older adults, fighting gender inequality is one of the major important ways to reduce the number of femicide cases. The Canadian Femicide Observatory for Justice and Accountability was established in response to call for action on violence against women, its causes and consequences. Comprehensive legalization is fundamental for an effective and coordinated response to violence against women. In Canada, the past 3 decades have witnessed significant legal and social transformation in its response to violence against women. Canada would like to propose the following steps. First, femicide should be seen as a criminal offense. Proper system of protocols and measures needs to be taken. Investing in enhanced services, instruments for risk assessment, and appropriate instruction to support femicide victims should be there. It is crucial to guarantee victims access to justice. They should be well informed of their rights and encouraged to actively participate in court proceedings. The Delegate of Canada calls upon all member states to look upon this issue and come to a common consensus. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. The delegates of Finland and Denmark have been recognized.
Right. Thank you for the recognition. So the delegate of Canada mentioned that they see that femicide as a criminal offense. However, according to a UN report, when a woman is threatened by and reports a threat of stalking, her chance of getting killed due to femicide increases by 3-fold. And Canada has reported 1 in every 10 women being stalked. How does the delegate of Canada support that they want to combat femicide when the stalking rates are so high?
Finland, I had proposed a solution that it should be seen as a criminal offense because femicide right now is not as it's not taken into consideration as a major problem in many countries. So I am giving this a solution to many other countries so that they can take it as a criminal offense.
All right, thank you.
The delegate of Denmark.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. The delegate of Canada mentioned in their speech that Canada is taking steps to combat femicides for older women. Are there any policies taken by the Canadian government to prevent femicides for younger people? Because that will secure a future, because they are the future. So have you done anything for the younger people also?
Yes, delegate. Canada is taking some preventions for the young people as well. Many helplines have also been established, like the Assaulted Women's Helpline and the Francophone Ontario's helpline. This is also for women who are like students and for indigenous women. So both of them are for like each other.
Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you, Delegate. The Delegate of Bahamas. The Bahamas, you have the floor.
I will start now. Violence against women is hidden, denied, and even more worryingly accepted as normal. The Bahamas has a legal obligation to protect women and girls from domestic violence and sexual violence, including sexual harassment. The state has put the necessary legal and administrative mechanisms in place to adequately protect women and girls from these kind of violences and to provide them with access to just and effective remedies. There have been sustained efforts by the state to challenge the stereotypical attitudes dominant in the world, which help to perpetuate violence against women and girls. The dedication and professionalism and sensitivity of a number of service providers and law enforcement officials help in addressing violence against women. The Bahamas suggest all countries to enforce and implement their criminal law, domestic laws, legislation, and gender-based violence initiatives properly. The Bahamas counts as one of the high developed countries by UN definition. So the Bahamas will be using a part of its economy to improve awareness and providing aid to the victims and their families across the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. The delegates of Singapore and Cuba, you've been recognized.
Yes, the delegate of Bahamas stated in their speech that they are considered a developed nation by the UN standards and that they will be using their the financial support they'll be providing to the other countries. But Singapore feels that it should be put into light that Bahamas has a femicide rate of around 3.1 in every 100,000 women, which counts in the top 20 most highest femicide rates across the world. So why isn't Bahamas focusing on using the financial support in Bahamas itself instead of actually using it to cure the disease in the world, while there is like a rate of 3.1 in Bahamas itself?
Would I to reply?
Yes, Delegate, please answer the question.
Yes. The delegate of Bahamas mentioned in the speech that we are going to use our economy or financial resources to help women or the victims across the world, which includes Bahamas itself and the world. And if you look at our records, the Bahamas have improved rapidly, and our femicide rates are decreasing over the time.
Ma'am, can I raise a point of order?
You want to raise a point of order to the question?
No, I mean, I just want to clarify, what do they mean by improving the rates? Can they specify? Because I have a research paper, I have a document rather from 2023.
Delegate, please raise a plea to follow up.
Plea to follow up, yeah, sorry.
That will be granted.
Yeah, so I have this research from 2023 with the help of the UN itself. It states the rate of 3.1. So I'd like the delegate of Bahamas to please state what numbers are they specifying when they say that the situation has improved.
So right to reply.
Delegate, you don't need to raise a right to reply before answering a POI. You can just answer.
Okay, ma'am. So delegate, what the delegate is specifying is that from the previous years our number has improved, and I specified that we are using our financial support for across the world, not just for abroad countries, but also for Bahamas itself. And I mentioned that from previous years our number in this femicide rate has improved and it has decreased a lot.
Thank you.
All right, delegate. Thank you.
The delegate of Cuba, you may ask your question.
I'm sorry, but I didn't raise my hand. I don't want to ask a question. It wasn't me.
Oh, we apologize, delegate. We saw your hand raised. Any other questions for the delegate of the Bahamas?
The delegate of Russian Federation would like to ask a POI.
We'd suggest you raise your
Yes.
virtual hands for that.
Sorry.
We have Japan, South Africa, followed by Greece raising their hands. Japan, to what point do you rise?
Can we take Greece because they've not spoken at all?
Yes, I
Yeah,
think we'll recognize the delegate of Greece for the POI.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Delegate of Greece would like to question the delegate of Bahamas that what investments has been taken for promotion of gender equality and what normative, legal and policy frameworks have also been done.
Can the delegate repeat the question?
The delegate of Greece would like to question delegate of Bahamas about the investments done for promotion of gender equality and and the normative, legal and policy frameworks made for the same.
Okay, so thank you, delegate, for your question. Delegate, the Bahamas have a very strict legislation regarding the femicide and domestic violence or any kind of violence for that matter. And we have also used our financial resources to set up awareness camp and provide basic education to women across the world and in our country as well.
Point to follow up?
That will not be granted, delegate. Sorry, point of plea to follow up is for clarification when the delegate has not answered what's exactly been asked, but in this case it has been.
Delegate, okay.
Thank you. Next we have Greece.
Kind of parliamentary inquiry, sir.
Yes, delegate.
Is it allowed right now to send any form of documentation that we have via the mail that you sent to us at the starting of the session?
Yes, delegate.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Ma'am,
Yes, delegate. To what point do you raise?
I have a point of order for delegate of Bahamas.
All right, delegate, we'll be accepting this, but after this, if you have a point of order, you need to raise your hand while we're recognizing POIs and unmute yourself and say that you have a point of order. But
Okay.
yes, you may speak for now, delegate.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the Bahamas mentioned that their femicide rates have been decreasing and they have taken several steps. But in the last 5 years, especially in 2021 and 2022, the femicide rate has been increasing in Bahamas itself. So it clearly states that there is an inaccuracy in their statement, since it was increasing, but it has taken a sudden was decreasing, but it has taken a sudden increase in the last 2 to 3 years.
Delegate,
Right to reply.
Before that, delegate, when it comes to statistical information, there are several sites and it's very subjective. So if you could please send your source of information with the site, please. And the delegate of Bahamas, if you have any point of clarification, you may speak.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, point of clarification.
Yes.
Ma'am, I believe that the numbers have decreased and I have proof for that. So I'll send it to you via mail, or should I send it to you via Zoom?
Please send it to me on Zoom. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, I'll send you the link via Zoom as well.
Thank you, delegates.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Yes, delegate.
What all countries are still left for this batch of GSL?
We'll be recognizing speakers. I think we can do that right now before moving on. So right now we have Nigeria, followed by Greece, followed by Ghana, and then followed by Cameroon. Delegates wishing to, first everyone lower your hands. Yeah. Delegates wishing to speak in the general speakers list, may raise your hands now.
If you've not spoken once, we'll first be recognizing speakers who haven't spoken yet.
We'll take the delegate of India. We'll take the delegate of UK. We'll take the delegate of Iran. We'll take the delegate of Spain. Nigeria, you're already on the list. You're the next speaker, so please lower down your hand. Then we have the delegate of Chile, so we'll take that. Russia. Cuba. Indonesia. Malaysia. USA. Israel. Brazil.
Australia.
Australia, Mozambique. Yeah, I think that's it for now. We have quite a few names.
Can the order please be repeated once?
Yeah, I'll put that in the chat box right now because we have a lot of speakers. So
Okay,
then
thank you.
Nigeria, the next speaker. Then we have Greece, Ghana, Cameroon, India, UK, Iran, Spain, Chile, Russia, Cuba, Indonesia, Malaysia, USA, Israel, Brazil, Australia, Mozambique.
Also, delegates, we'll be breaking out for a break in 7 minutes at 3:30. So we'll be continuing the general speakers list after break. But of course, Greece has the floor right now.
I'm entering inquiry, ma'am.
Yes, delegate?
Oh, I'm very sorry to disturb, but we'll be finishing this particular list, right?
No, we'll
That
be
depends, delegate.
two speakers right now, then we'll break and we'll have some other things.
Break, ma'am.
And after the break, if any delegate wants to raise any motion, you may, because the GSL is inexhaustible.
Considering since we didn't have any chance of informal lobbying before the committee, like the chance was basically only
If you
limited.
wish, then you can use the break for your unmod. You can totally utilize that. It's all right. It's on you.
Relates on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Grab permission of the chair. May the delegate of Greece begin.
Yes, please,
Please,
delegate. Thank you so much.
We have a delegate raising their hand. I'm so sorry. Yes, Japan, to what point do you rise?
Ma'am, I had point of inquiry. Yes, ma'am, point of inquiry.
Go on.
Yes, ma'am, one simple doubt to the executive board, that would the EB be accepting that we have one full round of GSLs and rather do not have a motion as of today, so that we can utilize any other application for lobbying purposes, for example, a Telegram group or sort of, where we can lobby and have a more constructive more topics for tomorrow, not today, so that we can continue.
No, delegate. We're sorry, that will not be in motion. And also, by the rules of the secretariat, the Zoom personal window will be used for lobbying. You also have access to the WhatsApp group that has been formed. So if you can identify delegates, you also have their WhatsApp numbers. We will not be creating a Telegram group. And if there is a motion that has been raised, we will be accepting it. And we won't only be having GSL speeches today. Thank you, delegate. The delegate of China.
Point of inquiry. Actually, the Zoom chat here only allows us, like the attendees, to text the host and not any other delegate personally. So can you please enable that?
Yes, delegate. I've raised this concern to the IT person. We'll be getting back to you after break.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Also, ma'am, please remove the only admins to message in the WhatsApp group. It would be better if we can also message that group in order to, lobby on that group, if that's so.
I've shared the recognition list on the group, so you can just check what your order is.
As per the point raised by the delegate of Japan, we'll be asking the secretariat and getting back to you.
I think we can open it for the duration of the committee, but this group is only meant for the EBs. It's in the description, so I think we can do that.
Let's just confirm with the secretariat once. We'll get back to you, delegate.
All right.
Chair, may the delegate of Greece begin now.
I'm sorry, Greece, but we have Nigeria before you.
Sorry.
Nigeria is before you.
Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience.
The delegate of Nigeria.
Yeah.
Just before that. Cambodia, yes. To what point do you rise?
Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Can the delegate be excused for a minute?
Sure. Delegates, in case you need to go to the washroom or maybe have something, you can just shut down your camera for a minute and you may proceed with that. Yes, you
I
can't.
have a point of parliamentary inquiry. Singapore.
Please make sure you raise your virtual hand for that. But before that, Uganda, to what point do you rise?
I have not been recognized for the GSL.
Don't worry about that. We'll be recognizing more speakers and we'll make sure we recognize them.
Okay, thank you so much.
Finland.
Ma'am, I asked the POI to the delegate of Canada, but that is not mentioned in the list shared on the WhatsApp group.
The delegate of Canada, you asked the POI to them.
I am delegate of Finland and I asked the POI to the delegate of Canada.
Delegate, you've been marked for the same.
Oh, all right.
I think this might have, a bit of discrepancy.
You might have skipped it, writing it, but you've been marked, don't worry.
Oh, all right, ma'am. Thank you.
Singapore, yes, to what point?
Yes, while the chair was calling out the names, the delegate of Singapore had been called out after Nigeria, but it's not mentioned. It's not mentioned on the list.
Singapore, I'm sorry, but the list goes like Nigeria, Greece, Ghana, and so on. So if you want, we'll recognize you a little later in the list.
No, that's fine. I meant to say that we had been recognized, but it's not mentioned.
We'll add you up in the list now. We'll make sure, right? Denmark, yes.
As per the list shared in the WhatsApp group, I have been asked 2 POIs, one by UAE and South Africa, but I was asked only one POI, that too by delegate of UAE. And I asked a POI to Canada, but that's not mentioned in the list.
Delegate, irrespective of the recognition sheet, you have been marked for what you asked. So don't worry about the recognition matching the marking.
Because I think I've not mentioned Canada in my list because I don't think I recognize them. But yeah, it's all right. You've been marked for whatever you've spoken.
Excuse me. I'd like to raise a point of order.
Yes,
please. Could the chair please specify to all the delegates to refrain from using personal pronouns?
Yes, we'll.
Yes, delegate.
Point of parliamentary inquiry, Chair. Yes, Bahamas.
Yeah.
Ma'am, for the source, I do not have a particular website, but I have a picture from the UN website.
You can share. You can share
Delegate,
that with the
please share it. Thank you.
Where can I share the picture on a WhatsApp group? Is there a? Can I share it on that?
No, you can share it on
the
chat only.
Yeah, we prefer the Zoom chat, but in case
if you're not able to direct message me, you can send it to everybody, but send it on the Zoom chat. Thank you.
Like it's a picture.
Chat is not allowing us to send the pictures, so maybe you can send it to one of us on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Finland, you have a query. You're raising your hand. The delegate of Finland. All right. We have Nigeria in the list. Nigeria, you have the floor for next 90 seconds.
Since it's yes, we need to break out for break. We'll be continuing with the speeches after break. So by 3:45, everybody should be back. All right. Thank you, delegates.
So would my speech, I'm the delegate of Nigeria, so would my speech be the
break?
first
We'll
one?
continue with you.
We'll continue after the break.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Point
delegates.
of parliamentary inquiry.
Yes, delegate.
As per what the vice chairperson mentioned, this is supposed to be an unmod, so we'll be marked for whatever lobbying we're going to do during the break, right?
Yeah.
Delegate, you can lobby, but I believe since you've been since it's an online conference and you've been staring at the screen for quite some time now, you all should go and eat something or maybe take a short break, and you can come back for and raise a motion for an unmoderated caucus. Other than that, if you want to informally lobby, you can, but it won't be marked since this is break.
Clarify something. It is a suggestion from my part. Will it be possible that we finish the list of speakers in the general speakers list and then we move for an unmod? Because considering that this is the first time the committee as a whole will be meeting and participating in informal discussions, the unmod will take quite long. So just starting a mod and like not being able to finish it in one day, I don't think so that will be a good approach to go ahead with. So will that be possible, ma'am?
Yeah. Yes.
So delegates, MUNs are very democratic. So whatever you decide, we can go ahead with that. we would personally want you to discuss specific subtopics of the agenda rather than just going around the whole agenda over and over again with the GSL. It gets very monotonous, and there's not much of a debate when everyone's just coming and stating new different points. So, but at the end of the day, it depends on what you guys want. If you want to continue with the GSL, we can do that. You can just not raise any motions. However, if you want the mods, then you can raise the motion for that.
Exactly. We're here to facilitate debate, not moderate it. Yes.
As suggested by the delegate, would it be possible that we at least complete the list which is just newly made and the one which you shared on the group? If you could at least complete that one.
Delegates, if there are motions on the floor, then we will be taking them up. And if they do pass, we will be moving on to perhaps an unmod or a moderated caucus. But for now, after we come back, after break, we will be continuing with the general speakers list speeches.
Okay, and yes, thank you so much. And also it will be great if either the WhatsApp group or the Zoom chats, if it could be accessible to us as well so that we can lobby. Because for the unmoderated caucus, we can at least use this time for that then.
We are working on it. We'll get back to you as soon as we get the information.
Armana said that we can only use Zoom chat for lobbying. So no WhatsApp or anything. Lobbying has to be done via Zoom chat only.
But we can only send messages to the hosts and not each other.
Yeah,
yes, delegate.
Yes, fixed for you. Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting that fixed. By the time you come back at 3:45, this problem will be eradicated. Thank you, delegates.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Delegates, if we could discuss the mod caucus topic till then, that would be great because we can utilize this break.
China, at that point, I think that discussing the topics as of now does not make any sense because we'll be having random mod topics. There won't be any consensus. So what I think that we finish the GSL, and by that time I think the time would be around 4:30 to 5, so that we'll have
obviously GSL to pehle khatam karenge because a lot of people didn't get recognized, so they deserve the speech they paye apni first. But after we're done with the GSL,
I think what we can do right now is that approximately we have quite a few GSLs left, but it is very important that we take an unmod today, because if we take an unmod tomorrow, then we'll be wasting important committee time in deciding the mod caucus topics. So
okay, so how about halfway into the GSLs, we either raise a motion for a moderated caucus or maybe take an unmod and then discuss whether we want to move into GSLs or moderated caucus, because so many GSLs it will get monotonous.
We cannot move into moderated caucus, delegate, because it is imperative that after the GSLs, a certain number of them end, we need to take an unmod. So any one of us.
So I said
what I suggested
an unmod to decide the moderated caucus topic, right? Because
would like to suggest that let us all first finish with the GSL,
Yes,
and
exactly.
many of the blocks have already decided unmoderated caucuses, and if we have time left, we would vote for that.
I think
that would be
GSLs.
what I suggest is let the GSL end, then we all can have a small unmod and we can discuss whoever has the mod topics, they can suggest their topics and then we can vote
exactly because
which are the
it
best
doesn't make
topics to
sense
vote.
to just simply raise some more topics for voting,
Yes,
because it is not
they're-
sure that everyone will vote for it
Right.
basically, and you won't be able to explain the topic much because it's just a simple motion.
So
the unmod will give a chance. I think we are all saying the same thing right here, so let's not waste our break time. It is decided by the delegates completely. Yes,
by
India. Yes, please
4:30.
go ahead.
Let's try to finish the GSLs by 4:30, and then we can start the unmod.
I think we have committee time till 5:15, right? In which the EV will also come for feedback, right? So let's just think right now. I think Singapore is the one that is supposed to give a speech, or did I miss someone?
You don't even need so much calculation. Basic idea is that let's do one thing. 4:30, I think we'll be able to finish a lot of GSL speeches. What we can do is that we should create a Google Doc. Google Doc may everyone can add their suggestions or topics, whatever they want to. And at the end of the GSL, when we have left time, we'll have a very quick voting upon so as to what topics could be suggested. And by that, we'll finalize 4 to 5 topics.
How about you guys share your numbers on the chat until then we can make some WhatsApp. Okay, wait. If lobbying is not allowed on WhatsApp
The
groups,
docs ideas.
let's see. Everybody wants to finish their
Google
GSLs,
Docs
right?
idea is
That was
fine.
the
What
main
we can
point.
do is
Yeah,
that we
Google
can
Docs
send
is
a link
fine.
for the Google
And
Docs in the group, right?
what I suggest is
Inside the
we can
chat,
have
and everyone can just simply write their
One
ideas
speaker.
on that.
Yes,
Just a
what I-
second, ma'am. Please just let me just finish my sentence, then you can go ahead, right? I think the idea proposed by delegate of Japan as to just simply give the Google Docs is fine. Everyone, as Greece mentioned, that there are certain blogs already, right? So some people must have communicated and had some groups. Right, the same topics, because this idea is good when there's lobbying before the committee, because you have time to shortlist through those 20 something more topics that everyone writes. But now, since we have less time, please try to only have limited number of topics in the group. If you see any similar topic, then simply just add or merge, or remove if there's any similar topic like that. And we can have an unmod. Anyone can just simply raise a motion for an unmod around 4:30, 4:45.
Let's have an unmod towards the end of the session.
Look, can you guys speak once at a time? Okay, the final
What was
conclusion here
delegate
was-
of UK saying? Delegate of UK?
Yeah, I was saying let's have an unmod towards the end of the session and discuss 2 to 3 topics which we are going to do in the next 2 days, because the third day is going to be the documentation.
Exactly.
This is the only point that second day we have to do the mod topics. So let's decide the mod topics for tomorrow. And
I feel like today, I don't, considering that we have to take an unmod and GSLs as well, I feel like taking a
after the
mod today
GSL
will not be possible, right?
after the GSL ends,
Let's have an unmoderated caucus at 4:30, okay? And then we'll see how many GSLs have been done.
ma'am,
I did that.
ma'am,
What were okay? So
ma'am,
since
let me
as a
just-
committee, we'll only have
Guys,
because
guys,
they
please,
for
please,
debate,
please,
right?
there is a message, please hold, calm down.
Yes,
Calm
delegate
down,
of
guys.
future.
Yeah, so I was thinking first let the delegate of China complete, and then delegate of USA, and then then you can. So it's pretty clear for
Delegate
all
of
of
China,
the
you can go
delegates.
ahead.
The conclusion here was that everyone wanted to complete their GSLs, right, and not cut into them, right? That was what US and UK decided, right? So how about we had an unmod at 4:30. Until then, I think the mod caucus topics would be completed. Sorry, the GSLs would be completed, and even if they're not, we'll decide in the unmod how to proceed with it. Because as you said, day 3 would be just documentation, right? So you cannot complete all your mod caucus topics in day 2 as well, because you cannot start a conference except you do at least a few GSLs, right? So let's have an unmod at 4:30, and as USA said in the beginning, let's just enjoy our break right now, because there's nothing to be done right now except give our GSLs.
Saying,
just want to
let's
say
start
one
the
thing.
unmod at 4:30. Let's just
You were-
finish the GSLs first, because I feel like a lot of countries were not recognized, and I feel like only a few GSLs have happened till now. So
Yeah,
once
yes.
we cover some substantial amount of GSLs, like we exhaust the list for today, then we can go ahead and unmod, because it
Right.
doesn't make sense to take up a mod today, because only 2-3 speakers will be taken up, and
Ma'am,
then the
considering
rest will be
fact-
continued tomorrow.
Also, China, considering the fact that we have so many delegates, there will be like people recognized tomorrow as well. There will be a few people
Exactly.
recognized tomorrow. And what I was suggesting is that we can have an unmod towards the end of the session and decide the topics for mods tomorrow, so that all of us can get the time to prepare it as well for those who haven't prepared, since there are also newcomers in the committee. So it would be beneficial for them as well.
Exactly.
Okay, so we'll
that's
have an
completely
unmoderated caucus at the
That's
end of the
first
GSLs
priority right
and
now.
decide that
Okay,
mod
so,
caucus topics there for
Right.
tomorrow, right?
Right.
And
Right.
at
So
least
just to
have-
conclude all of this, to all the delegates,
China, UK, and
can
what?
anyone just write this on the chat as well, so that the
Someone
people
was
who are not
mentioning
there
the
during
delegate of
break-
UK.
I think
The delegate of India wants to say something. Can we just hear them out? And I think another delegate also as well who just said
Excuse me?
hello. I think South Africa.
No, it was Nigeria, though.
Oh, Nigeria, I'm sorry.
Also, what I was saying that in the meantime, we didn't get that much time to collaborate with form alliances, because there was no group. It was formed like yesterday or today in the morning only. So what I suggest is, so that we can judge the delegates what they are doing and what their speeches is. We can do a GSL for today, and we can start with the mod topic tomorrow. And we
Yeah,
can
that's the entire plan.
Right. So
the GSLs
just to
will have an
conclude this,
unmoderated
just a
caucus
second,
to
for all the
decide on
delegates
the
who were
topic.
not there during the
USA,
break,
can you-
any one of you can just simply frame a message on the chat, so that when they come back, they can read the message and understand what we've decided based on a mutual consensus. But just to conclude this all, we'll be finishing and basically exhausting the list for GSLs that is mentioned by the EV today. When all those people are done with their GSLs, we'll have an unmod, because it doesn't make sense to rush into a mod after that. So we can take as much time that we need to decide few topics for the mods, right? Since on day 3 it will be documentation, and we need to have we need to have DR discussion and stuff also. So it doesn't make sense to simply force a mod into the third day. So we can only have mods on the
Also-
second day, which I believe maximum we can have 3 mods. So we need to only
Right.
decide 3-4 topics at max, like 3 topics main and 4 as 4 as a backup just in
It
case.
is not
Also,
necessary.
guys, if some of you could send your numbers on the chat, so it would be way easier because Zoom, we've already
Right.
having a lot of unmod caucus.
Just one
populated-
minute, just
unmod-
kind of 1 minute. I think that firstly, I don't understand the gist of the chairperson why she had suggested to either go with a DR, because ideally UN CSW does not make a DR.
Right,
The
right.
have to
communication
follow the
paper.
instructions. We don't have it. We can you can ask them, I guess, before
All-
starting the
You
session.
will raise a parliamentary
We
inquiry.
cannot change the secretariat or the general secretariat person. Like they are the main rulers who are conducting the MUN, so they have the absolute right among them. Yes, definitely
And
we
the
can
EB is
question, but
required to
we
send.
can't change it.
To conclude this for
See,
today.
as a point of parliamentary inquiry, we can ask
Can
Look,
I
US,
make-
Greece is speaking. Can we just let them speak?
Achha, so also on the mayor's suggestion that I think either we can go back by the Google Docs wala method which I had told.
Right.
So what we can do is that let's have like either one of us can post 4 to 5 topics or 3 to 4 topics, which should be generalized or should be comprehensive in nature, so that we directly pass it on and take much less time. For example, if for example China or India gets assigned that she has to make 4 topics and we'll together pass on that, so that would save a lot of time rather than going to the Google Doc and then voting on every more topic which had been raised. So we can assign one.
We'll not vote on every topic. We'll see in a hindsight if some topics can be merged and if some topics can be removed because they have certain similarities.
Even after
So we'll
we
see
I have
that and then
shared the
combine and
Google
then we'll
Docs
vote, right?
link. And wait a second.
Even after
I
we
just
do
wanted to
that,
give some.
I'm pretty sure that there would be around 30 to 25 topics.
I am also pretty sure, but then we have to cut down on the topics, right? So
Most of
so
the
many
topics
topics
See,
will have
most
some
of the
similar.
it's a women's rights community. Wait a second. Let us first. Wait. There are 3 people speaking at once. Can the delegate
Okay,
of Greece
link
go
is
and then
that.
delegate of
Delegate
India
of
and then
Japan,
all of
the
us?
document that you
So first
sent,
of
it doesn't have edit access. So I don't understand what is the
US,
purpose
please
of
let
it
Greece
then.
speak. We cannot hear them.
What
Yes,
I'm ready for it.
delegates, what I
channel
believe is
document.
that first, let us for first day, let us finish the GSL, and everybody has their own ideas and topics. So let us everybody, rather than assigning someone, we should read everybody's ideas and topics and then decide which is the best one, and we would vote for it.
Yeah, I agree with Grace. So, like the Google Docs
Delegates,
links has been
just
shared, so you
1
can
second.
post your unmoderated caucus topics there, and then we'll go through them because see, it's the women rights community. Like most of the moderated caucus topics will be similar, more or less. You don't exactly have a vast range to choose from. Now, the delegate of India was saying something. Can you please?
Yes.
She's been what?
Since it's UNCSW, all of the ModCog topics would be on very similar lines. So we need to pick out the topics that are actually relatable to most of the countries, that are good for most of the countries, so more speakers can speak. So I think all of us in the ModCog need to decide on very basic subtopics of the agenda so that everyone gets a chance to speak.
And like the delegate, I don't know who suggested the Google Docs,
May
but
I
it's
may I suggest
whoever has
something,
created,
please?
just a second.
Nigeria
Who
has
is
his
this?
hand
This
raised.
is the delegate of Russia. I've been trying to speak for
Okay, wait.
quite some
Yes,
time.
ma'am,
It's
please
just
go
a
ahead.
small thing. Delegate of China, I have sent you a message in the chat. Kindly, please just just see to it. And also another thing, I also had a suggestion regarding the ideas for this. If of course it has been repeated already, but just we finished the GSL today, and later on, if the time permits, then we can have an unmoderated caucus. And naturally, since there will be blocks formed, so as per the blocks, they both the blocks can decide what the topics will be there for the moderated caucus. And if as per the EB said that they will be allowing the individual messages on Zoom, then we can also do that. Otherwise, the WhatsApp thing can also be done, just to have
Right,
it a little
so
bit more orderly.
just to say something, we have
One
almost
thing
exhausted our
that-
break. Our break was
USA,
supposed to end
just
at
a minute.
3:45. So
You've been telling
just a
about
second,
it.
Japan. Like, just let me finish my
I had
sentence.
one contention that why are there blocks in UNCSW? Because there is ideally no logic behind having 2 or 3 blocks in UNCSW. So either we work.
That's why I was asking people to post their numbers on the chat, so at least we can start lobbying until we don't gain access for personal chat, right? Because you cannot exactly lobby on everyone at the everyone option. I
Exhausted
agree
our
with
break right now. Just a second.
Well,
We're
the EB
exhausted our
isn't
break.
here
The
yet, so we
delegates are
can-
coming back, right? just 2 minutes to figure out what we're supposed to do right now. Whatever
We'll
link
just
has
finish up with the GSLs, and at the end of the GSLs,
No, we
we'll have an unmod
understand
and
that. That is
decide.
not what I'm asking, delegate. I'm asking whoever has sent the link for the Google Doc in the chat. It is not. I don't think so. There's edit access available. So how do you assume? Like,
Edit access is there. I have given it to everyone to stay fresh.
We'll be resuming
Alright,
at
that works.
3:50. You can continue
your
your unmod.
Thank you, ma'am. So, everyone, since we have less time left, please throughout the GSRs, try and post your topics on whatever link Delegate of China has sent. Please can you resend the link so that everyone can view that? So if you like, this is something that I want everyone to adhere to. If you find any topic that's similar to your, please do not think that we're not taking up your topic or something. Just simply merge the topics if they are similar and remove your topics if a similar topic has already been added, right? So this will really help us in the shortlisting process and really save our time in the unmod. So as Delegate of China, UK, Russia, India, and everyone has already contributed, we know that right now we'll continue with the GSLs and then we'll simply take up the unmod and then we decide the topics. The topics must be decided for the second and the third day because it doesn't make sense to take up an unmod every day and decide 2-3 topics and stuff, right? So let's just decide all topics in one go so that everyone, especially the newcomers, the first timers, they get a chance to prepare good speeches.
Exactly. So, I believe there is at least like 5 topics from what we post today for like second and the third day, because I believe for the first day only the GSL could be completed because they're like
the GSLs are enough for the
like
first
that
day
point
itself.
has been repeated now. Can we just
Yeah.
enjoy the rest of the break?
This
Like,
was
we have
already
an EVs
discussed,
as well.
Greece.
So we're just waiting. Like the director told us to wrap up, right? So let's just all go on mute. And the Google Doc link has been shared. You can post your mod caucus topic.
Keep in mind that while suggesting the topics, that should be relevant to the agenda, right? There shouldn't be any other than outside.
Yeah, like before suggesting topics like this, for example, artificial intelligence, they will not be able to incorporate low developing countries, right? So you have to keep topics in mind that can incorporate.
Right. So what I was saying is basically, yes, India, go ahead.
Can we please start with the committee previous year?
Extend. Delegate of India, please go ahead.
Yes. And also please make sure that your topics aren't very similar to the agenda and they're very different and different subtopics. So yes.
I believe that there should be mod topics and unmod topics are actually taken as a as a part of the agenda, adhering to the agenda, but different. So let us not divert from the agenda too, but let us not keep it similar.
Similar, right?
Right. So, like one thing that I want everyone to notice is that our agenda particularly includes legal failures, right? The failures of the legal system, basically. So, whatever topic that you have, please ensure that you have the component of failures of the legal system in it. Please do not don't think that your agenda is femicide. Your agenda is failures of the legal system with femicide. So taking that into consideration, I want everyone to make topics that are relevant to the legal system failure part as well, not just relevant to the femicide part. This is just like a disclaimer to everyone, not a specific target.
Start the committee.
You can already see a lot of mod caucus topics posted about domestic violence. So I feel like just make like as the delegate of USA said, just make them according to the legal aspect, like for example, providing immediate assistance and like legal measures that have been taken by our country rather than
since our agenda is actually since our agenda is actually quite narrowed down already, because usually agendas are like femicide and then you talk about like different aspects of femicide.
I think delegate of Japan.
I guess I'm the one who's trying to say.
Please let the
Japan or UK. Yeah, UK.
It's already very late. Please let them start. Right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Ma'am, if you could please start the committee.
Yes, delegate, we're just waiting for our chairperson.
Yeah. Right. So till the time the chairperson comes, let's just finalize a few parts of our discussions.
Already
So since just a second, Japan, you interrupted me once. Please don't interrupt me twice. So since the delegate of China mentioned that they have a lot of topics about domestic violence.
We suggest you wrap up your unmoderated comments.
Right now,
we're done saying whatever we wanted to. We just all go on mute. I think everybody has instructions to
right. USA have been saying. So I guess Khyati was even saying something, but she was interrupted by USA. So
I'm very sorry, ma'am. I didn't notice that.
We'll proceed with the formal debate now. If you want,
thank you, ma'am.
You can take unmods later.
Yes, that works.
So we have our chairperson. Right.
Right. Delegates, it was good to see that you guys were lobbying during break, but next time try taking an actual break because we have long committee sessions. I don't think a lot of delegates are back yet, but is the delegate of Nigeria back?
2-3 minutes. I think we should wait for.
Yes, I was here only. I didn't leave.
Right. Do you guys want 2-3 minutes so that everybody comes back and the delegates who are lobbying can actually take a 2-minute break, or do you want to continue? Delegates?
We can continue.
Delegates, we can, chairperson, we can actually continue, so it's all right.
All right, but we still need to wait for everybody to come back, right? So we'll start in another minute or so.
Ma'am, I had doubt till then if you could answer it.
Yes, delegate.
Yes, ma'am. So on what parameters are the individual documents being marked, and what is the cap on the number of documents which we can send each day?
There is no cap on the number of documents. As for the criteria on which they're marked, in general, the marking criteria for UNCSW e-AIMUN 2023 is solutions, analysis of solutions, and committee impact. As for your documentation, we're looking for multilateralism, so delegates with good lobbying skills, and also, of course, the solutions that your documents will entail.
Right. Also, ma'am, I had one doubt regarding the marking of the lobbying session, ma'am, considering that again it is an online conference. So there are discrepancies in the amount of lobby each delegate can make. So lobbying is not marked very highly in terms of the mark sheet, right? It is a very negligible part of it.
Delegate, I'm sorry. Can you please repeat your question? There was some disturbance from my end.
Yes, ma'am. Considering that this is an online conference, a simulation, so here lobbying depends or is very subjective to delegate. So lobbying as a parameter might be very small in terms of the overall mark sheet, right? Like it does not carry a lot of marks, considering this is an online conference.
Right, delegate, we will be marking lobbying because, as you saw in the break as well, a lot of delegates were lobbying and trying to come up with a common consensus. So that is to the discretion of the executive board as to how we mark your lobbying, but it 100% is a part of the mark sheet and it will be marked under committee impact.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chairperson, Delegate of Grace wanted to make a point that could you please make a point to all of the delegates in the house that to refrain from using personal pronouns and maintain the diplomacy.
Right, delegate. Everybody please refrain from using personal pronouns. It's a very personal matter. Thank you.
Yes, the delegate of South Africa.
Oh, yes. I just wanted to ask if any delegate is allowed to draft an individual working paper.
Yes, you are. We've already received some. So if you want, you can send them, but we won't be accepting any of documentation after tomorrow because the DR will be accepted. But in blocks. But when it comes to individual working papers or joint statements or press releases, presidential statements, we won't be accepting them after 5:30 p.m. tomorrow. Is that clear to everybody?
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. The delegate of Russian Federation.
The DR that needs to be submitted like before on Friday itself or before that?
Delegate, that depends on how many unmoderated caucuses will happen and when the alliances are formed. So that completely depends on the flow of the committee.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, the delegate of Greece.
Delegate of Greece would like to ask that could we send our working papers with signatories? Or we send it later on as a session continues because after it becomes a draft resolution.
Delegate, that just becomes your draft resolution, right? So send your individual working papers if you want, or your bilateral working papers, but you don't need to send them with signatories at this point if you're sending them as extra documentation and not your main DR.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson.
If your doubts are solved, we suggest you lower down your hands so that we can proceed with the committee. Yes, Cambodia, to what point do you rise?
Ma'am, point of personal privilege.
Go ahead.
Is it possible for the delegate of Cambodia to get the email ID once again?
Sure, we just drop it in the text box. South Africa, you have a query?
No, sorry.
You can lower down your hands. That's all right. Okay, then I guess we can proceed with the committee now. The delegate of Nigeria, you have the floor for next 90 seconds.
Sure, thank you. So should I start?
Yes.
Yes, 1 second, delegate. Everybody, please switch on your cameras. Just because you've just returned from break, it doesn't give you an excuse to not have your cameras turned on. I repeat, no delegate will be in the criteria for awards or will be eligible for an award if they have their cameras turned off. If you have any technical glitch or any good valid reason that has been informed to the dais, then you will still be eligible. But if you're just not turning on your camera because you don't feel like it, you will not be eligible for an award. Thank you. The delegate of Nigeria, you may start.
So
1 second, delegate. Sorry. The timer.
Yeah.
Bueno.
So starting in 3, 2, 1. Women in world suffer domestic violence irrespective of class, age, religion, or social status. Incidents of domestic violence include wife battering, beatings, torture, acid bath, rape, and even death through honor killing. It is estimated that 1 in every 4 women suffer domestic violence from the hands of those who claim to love and protect them. Many countries do not have specific laws prohibiting domestic violence or femicide, which results in multiple acts of violence, degradation, physical isolation, fear, and terror. Globally, 137 women and girls are killed by a family or intimate partner in a single day. And that results in more than 50,000 femicide happens each year. Some countries have passed laws and policies incorporating such international standards into their domestic laws. For example, Nigeria has incorporated into domestic laws, which is the United Nations Protocol to prevent, suppress, and punish trafficking in persons, especially women and children. Despite of all these laws, femicide is not in control. It is because of the unawareness of rights and feeling of shame in the society if one speaks about it. Here, education becomes an important part to stop femicide because some countries don't have that much developed education system. If women and girls will be educated about their rights and are not dependent on men, then definitely femicide can be controlled. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. We'll be recognizing POIs. Mexico, followed by Brazil.
Good afternoon. So Nigeria, I have a POI for you. In your country, the femicide rate is about 5.7 on an average, and factors like racism and poverty increase these risks. So what is your government doing to eradicate these risk factors, and is the data collection of femicides in your country actually accurate?
Yeah. So should I answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So as we all know that most of the some of the African countries, including Nigeria, was in dictatorship before getting democracy. So when the Nigeria was being democratic, there was some female leaders who was there also. So they were also protesting about the that femicide. So government was taking important measures, and still they are making laws and incorporating laws from the United Nations and many other international courts.
Right. Thank you, delegate. Next, Brazil, you can go ahead with your question. I'm sorry, you're not audible to me.
Same here.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the delegate of Brazil believes that in your country, femicide followed by rape or sexual violence is much more prevalent. So has your country done anything or any policies to counter that aspect in particular?
Yeah.
There is a law VAPPA, which signifies like the killing of any like women or women or child or a male. Does not signify that it should be a female, but the law signifies if there is any rape and or like violation of any law, then that would be punished. And I want to correct you that in Nigeria, except rape, there's domestic violence, so not that much of rape.
All right,
Delegates?
Thank you.
General feedback, please try to keep your POIs in context to the speeches that the delegates are delivering. Because just stating statistics from the internet and questioning delegates on them, they are counted as POIs, but they're not entirely good POIs. So try to ask rational, good questions. We'd also quality over quantity.
South Africa, to what point do you rise?
No, sorry, it was for a point of information.
Right, you can lower down your hand. Cambodia?
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Go ahead.
The delegate of Cambodia feels that she's not being recognized much in the point of information by not asking the point of information to other delegates when she has raised the hand many times. So if possible, kindly recognize the other speakers that have not spoken for a while.
All right, delegate, we noted that. We'll make sure to recognize you next. UAE, to what point?
Can you please repeat how do we have to submit the widgets?
See, you can either text us on the Zoom chat, but just for reference, the chits aren't marked like that much. So we'd suggest that you speak in the committee, increase your presence in there, right? Thank you. Next up, we have the delegate of Greece.
Thank you, Chair and the Director. May the delegates start now. Across the world, in rich or poor countries alike, women are being brutally killed simply because they're women. These gender-motivated killings act as a harsh reminder that even in the 21st century, the world is still chasing for equality, a life free of violence and abuse. As for Greece, it has constantly and readily strived to eliminate femicide. It has been committed to the implementation of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, BPOA, and Convention of the Elimination of All Kinds of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW. It has introduced new gender-responsive laws such as Law 4604, 2021 and Law 4808, 2019. Delegate of Greece believes that a country needs to ensure that its criminal justice is provided with the victim's information and history of attack, and so that they could strongly respond to violence against women. Finally, as Greece believes in collaboration, combined efforts are needed to stand up as a better society for women, because femicide is a problem that affects every country and every territory. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate.
Now we'll be recognizing POIs. So we'll take one by Cambodia and then we'll take Egypt.
So, delegate, in your nation, there is no specified law for the prosecution of the act of femicide. Where all other nations are enforcing these laws, Greece owns none. How does Greece expect itself to de-elevate the cases of femicides?
Delegate of Greece acknowledges Delegate of Cambodia and would like to inform Delegate of Cambodia that even though Greece does not have a literal law for the prosecution of the perpetrators, the country speaks for itself. It has a very low rate of femicide, 0.5, and it has various ways where it could provide support to the victims and psychologically material support and emotional support. And also the Hellenic Police Department takes care that criminal justice and the Hellenic Police Department takes care that the prosecutors are rightly punished. Thank you.
Excuse me, Chair.
Yes.
Yes,
Appeal to follow up.
that will be granted, Delegate.
Delegate, you said that the police department of your country, it takes over for the prosecution of all the people, for all the men or the people who are involved in the act of femicide in which the women are abused. There is domestic abuse, but when there is no specific law in your country that that it will definitely prosecute or prosecute the criminal. So how does the police even maintain this law? How are they punished when there is no such specified law for it? When it is known that the police is there to maintain the law and the order.
Delegate of Greece would like to firstly remind the delegate of Cambodia that it is not only the Hellenic Police Department, but also the criminal justice acting on it. And first of all, the Constitution of Greece provides provisions and states that any person involved in murders should be prosecuted. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Just a casual feedback, as the chairperson even mentioned, you can keep your questions and answers a little precise from the next one.
Yeah, just make it like your POIs are too long and it's very difficult for the other person to also comprehend what your question is. And what you are asking, that's not a question. So that does not qualify as a POI and you're not being marked very nicely for it. So I think you should just keep in mind that the POI has to be a question. If you wish to support it with a fact, you may state a very short fact before it and then move on to your question. It should be easy to comprehend for the other person as well. And for your answers, they should also be short and crisp. And you should not say everything that you have related to what the other person has said. Just make a very concise and short answer and that will fetch you more marks for sure. All right, Delegate of Egypt, your POI.
Yeah, so the delegate of Egypt wanted to ask that what are the recommendations of the Bering Declaration that Greece would be prioritizing?
Delegate of Greece firstly would like to ask clarification of the question given by Egypt. Could the delegate please rephrase his question?
Yes, Delegate, you may rephrase your question. No direct conversation, please. Thank you.
So the delegate of Greece mentioned that the Bering Declaration it would be implementing. So what are the recommendations? What are the steps that that Greece would be taking to under this declaration?
Delegate of Greece would firstly inform delegate of Egypt that Beijing Declaration of and Platform for Action (BPOA) is a convention and is consisting of international and foreign laws for gender equality and gender responsive laws, and it acts upon all countries that have signed up for that, and it remains committed and follows all the conventions provided in the document. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I was not clarified. I was not conceived by my answer. I was not confirmed or satisfied with the answer.
Delegate, if you want to ask a plea to follow up, you may, even though the question was, okay, that will not be in order because the question was answered. If you have any other problem with the answer, then you may send a chat to the delegate. Also, could somebody please confirm if personal window communication has been enabled?
It hasn't.
No.
All right, thank you. I'll just follow up with this.
Also, a point of parliamentary inquiry.
Yes,
Yes, delegate.
Yeah. So the delegate wanted to ask that if we could like shift back to the old system of like 1 POI per speech.
Delegate, after a couple of speakers, yes. After 3 speakers, we'll be accepting motions. So after that, we'll see to this.
Parliamentary inquiry, point of parliamentary inquiry.
Yes, delegate.
The delegate of Singapore would like to clarify where is Singapore on the list, recognition list? What number?
All right, so the delegate of Singapore has not been recognized as of yet. Do you
Alright.
want to be added to the list?
Yeah, but
So
I
we do that when we ask for speakers.
actually the name had been called out, like we had been called out. They had recognized while the chair was speaking.
Okay, and then I'll add.
We can accommodate you after Mozambique then.
Yeah. We have Singapore. We have Singapore after Uganda. So yeah.
All right. Do we have any points on the floor? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next speaker. Khana.
I would be starting in 3, 2, 1. Femicides. The senseless and brutal murder of women because of their gender have become an alarming concern not just in Ghana but worldwide. First, let us acknowledge the gravity of the problem. Femicides are a horrific manifestation of gender-based violence and they shatter the lives of women and their families. The pain and suffering caused by these acts of violence are immeasurable, leaving scars that last a lifetime. We cannot turn a blind eye to the pain and injustice suffered by the women across the world. Ghana recognizes the urgency of this issue and has been diligently analyzing its causes and consequences. We have undertaken comprehensive research to understand the root causes of femicides in our country, which include deeply ingrained patriarchal norms, economic disparities, and inadequate legal protection for women. Crisis. Firstly, we have strengthened our legal framework to ensure that the perpetrators of femicides face swift and severe punishment. We are also working tirelessly to educate the public about the importance of gender equality and respect for women's rights. In collaboration with international organizations and neighboring countries, we are also working to combat cross-border trafficking and violence against women. The fight against femicides is far from over, but Ghana is unwavering in its commitment to creating a safer and more equitable society for all. Together, we can stand up for the rights of women and ensure that femicides become a tragic chapter of our past, not our present or future. Thank you.
All right. Delegates wishing to ask POIs, you may raise your hands now. Okay, so we'll be taking Indonesia. And then we'll take UAE. Indonesia followed by UAE.
Ma'am, point of inquiry.
Yeah, yes, delegate.
Ma'am, UAE had already won recognition for POI. So we believe that either the recognition should be given to anyone else.
Delegate, the delegate of Japan has also been recognized for POIs twice. The delegate of the UAE has been recognized once.
See, everyone has been recognized. All of you who are raising hands, you all have been recognized. So this time we take UAE and maybe next time we can take someone else. Does that work?
No, ma'am. One point of order on the executive board.
Yeah.
Ma'am, we haven't been recognized for any POI. Rather, that was a point of order. Order and POI, I believe, had separate recognition.
What? No. I'm saying we're not looking at individual recognitions for anything. We're looking at overall recognitions as to how much someone has spoken.
All right, ma'am.
All right. So we'll take Indonesia followed by UAE.
Yes. So my question was that you mentioned in your speech that your country will be now educating people more about femicides. How is your country planning to do so? And if not, how will you give the solutions for so?
Well, we are planning to educate more and more people about femicides through school campaigns
ads, and even social media, so that people get a better view of what the problem is and how are the ways with which they can prevent them from happening in the future.
Okay.
May I go ahead?
Yes, Delegate.
So, Delegate of Ghana, you talked about that you would be wanting about the education and that implemented and wanting to spread awareness. But uh, this could have a bit of a costly, you also need finance for that. And considering the fact that your country, most of the population is under the poverty line, so how are you really wanting to finance this? And how are you really wanting and what the benefits that you are thinking that will happen?
Well, as I mentioned in my speech, we are collaborating with international organizations that will, of course, help us with financial aid as well as provide us with ways and tactics on how we can promote awareness about this. And by this, we feel that more people in our country, they will be aware of the situation, and with that, hopefully the cases will be reduced and we will have a much lower rate of femicide.
A request for a follow-up.
That will be granted.
You talked about the international organizations that you would be really wanting to collaborate with and the other countries. Can you specify more on who are you wanting to collaborate and what are you want plans for that?
Okay. So, Ghana, as of now, is planning on collaborating with WHO, World Health Organization, which will be providing with financial aid to us, and they will also be providing healthcare facilities to the victims. And through the financial aid that we will receive, we will, of course, be promoting awareness.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Thank
you, Delegate.
Point of personal privilege here.
Go ahead.
The delegate of the Bahamas would not be able to switch on their video for a while because of a power cut at a place. So I just wanted to inform.
Noted, Delegate. Delegate of Greece, to what point do you rise?
Delegate of Greece would like to raise to a point of information.
Delegate, you can't ask a point of information to the executive board. You can ask a point of parliamentary inquiry to ask a point of information, which is not in order, as the delegates have already been recognized.
The delegate of Greece understands what the chairperson is asking for, but I asked to be recognized.
Delegate, you want to be recognized for
point of information.
As stated by the chairperson, we've already recognized for the speech. So we'll recognize you in the next speech.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me.
Can I turn off my camera for 5 minutes because I want to switch my laptop to charging?
Sure, Delegate.
Yes, Delegate, sure.
Yes,
Excuse
you
me,
may.
Evie, may I ask another question to Ghana, if possible, relating
No,
to the
Delegate.
answer that you had given?
I'm sorry, that's not allowed.
If you feel that the delegate hasn't answered your first question, you're supposed to raise a plea to follow up.
Yeah, so plea to follow up.
But that
on this
No,
cannot be
Delegate.
granted right now.
Okay.
South Africa, to what point?
Oh yes, I had a point of parliamentary inquiry.
Go ahead.
So, suppose we're making an individual working paper, and we're for some reason not the sponsor of the draft resolution, we're the signatory. So, are we going to be marked on the same basis since we've already sent our individual working paper and our solutions are patented by them?
Delegate, you will not be marked in the exact same way because, of course, there's a different weightage for the main draft resolution and an individually submitted working paper, but we'll also be judging you on the quality of your solutions. So if we believe that your solutions do have quality, you will be adequately marked.
Right, thank you.
I believe we can move on to the next speaker on the list, which is Cameroon.
Right. Delegate of Cameroon, you can go ahead.
I'll be starting in 3, 2, 1. Yes. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the world witnessed a devastating rise in the domestic abuse cases, especially in Greece. The situation has been constantly deteriorating following the ease of pandemic-related restrictions, raising concern over the incapability of the Greek state to rise to the challenge of protecting victims. In 2020, offenses related to domestic violence in Greece more than tripled compared to the 2010. The National Helpline for Abused Women has received 7,809 calls so far, of which 5,405 concerned incidents of violence. The spike of femicides throughout this year has shed light on police failing when it comes to responding to violence against women, including accusations. Following a femicide which took place in Athens last May, a police officer claimed in a TV interview that if the perpetrator has confessed immediately, he may have received a reduced sentence. It was an unfortunate event committed in anger. Not only that, but on an average, just 23% of the prosecuted violence convictions fell from 16.5 to 6% in 2019, even as the convictions for domestic violence hit a 5-year peak. A recent law forced women to share custody of their children with their abusive former partner is yet another major step backward. And not only that, but a member of parliament stated that this law is justified on the grounds that even if a man is abusive as a husband, that does not mean he's a good father. So the very first step that Greece should take is to abandon the misconception of feminism as device and man-hating by default. Yes, undoubtedly, the social reality of women conditioned them to feel threatened by men. Thank you.
We'll be now recognizing POIs. So I'll be taking the delegate of Japan, if they are willing to ask.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
All right. And I'll be taking the delegate of Denmark, I believe.
Right, ma'am. Maybe ask a question.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So, ma'am, a very simple question to the delegate is that in the Convention Against Discrimination of Women, Article 26, it has been mentioned that there is a minimum requirement by a country to either imprison the person who had committed the femicide, or either there should be a national legislature which criminalizes femicide. However, the fact is that when your country has failed to either follow both the statements which had been mentioned in the Convention Against Discrimination of Women. So therefore, these two statements are contradicting in nature, and how would you like to justify it?
Can the delegate please repeat the question in a simplified manner?
Sure, one. So there's one document, Convention Against Discrimination Against Women. Article 24 and even Article 18 specifies that there should be a minimum imprisonment and there should be a criminalization of femicide. However, in the country of Cameroon, both of these applications and both of these standards hasn't been maintained. So therefore, your statements in the speech and this particular law contradicts. So how would you like to justify it?
Delegate, first of all, in my speech, if you would have heard, I have given the case study of the Greece system. But as to answer your question, I must say that we like in our parliament, the discussion for these are currently going on. So yes, whatever steps will be taken will be, it will come to the news very soon.
Lead to follow.
Not granted. Your question has been answered. Okay, we'll move on to the delegate of Denmark.
Yes, thank you. The delegate of Cameroon mentioned in their speech that for Greece, if a person immediately confesses, then they're not punished. So what are the views of Cameroon on it? How do you close the loopholes in your government's functioning so that the person who commits a crime is heavily punished and cannot escape the justice system?
So thank you for your question, delegate. But this statement that was given by the police officer were not a Cameroon police officer, but instead a Greek police officer. And as to answer your question, the Ministry of Women's Affairs in Cameroon is making several laws to combat that issue. So I hope this answers your question.
Thank you.
Person, as the speech given by the delegate of Cameroon is directly opposing Greece, can the delegate can the delegate speak in the defense of the country?
That's not a question, delegate. Please
What
rephrase your
point
question
did
as
you
a POI.
The delegate of Greece is asking the chairperson that as the speech given by the delegate of Cameroon is directly opposing the Greece, so could the delegate of Greece speak in the defense of the country?
No, delegate, that will not be in order. If you want to request a delegate for an apology and raise a plea to apology, you can, but that will only take place if the delegate accepts it.
Okay. So delegate of Greece would like to raise a plea from to the delegate of Cameroon for an apology letter.
All right, delegate. The delegate of Bahamas. To what point?
Point of information.
I'm sorry, delegates, we're done taking POIs for Cameroon.
I had a question that if the delegate of Cameroon does not wishes to issue an apology letter, then what I have to do?
Delegate, do you accept the apology? Do you accept the plea to apology? Would you like to apologize to the delegate of Greece? Do you think you're at a fault here?
No, I don't think so, because it was simply a case study that I have stated.
All right, perfect then. The delegate has declined your plea to apology, please. Sorry.
The delegate of Greece would also like to inform the delegates in the House that delegate of Greece is aware of the study and would like to inform everyone that it is not from a trusted source.
Delegate, from now on, if you are not recognized, you're not allowed to speak. Please
You
make
will
sure.
get negatively marked.
Sorry.
That comes in the decorum. Right? The delegate of cabinet. To what point?
Yes, I would like to speak for a little. So if we take the definition of femicide, it is
I'm sorry, delegate. You're not recognized for the speech yet. Do you want to get recognized?
Yes.
So we'll add your name in the GSL list and we'll inform you once you have a turn to speak.
Oh, okay, thank you. I thought you called me.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we need to take a feedback session. So can
Right,
the EB
delegates,
members please leave?
please recognize the presence of your Director General.
Delegate of Gavin, you're requested to be on mute, please.
So do we leave right now?
Yeah, you guys have to leave
We
right
will be
now.
notified when we have to join back in, right?
I'm not able to hear you guys. Delegate of Gavin, could you please mute yourself? Yeah, thank you.
We'll be
Yes.
notified when we have to join in, right?
Right, I'll message on the pre-committee groups so that
All
you're
right.
notified.
Thank you.
Thank you. Considering all the EB members have left, I'm here for a short feed. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. I'm here for a short feedback session with all of the members of the UNCSW. Just wanted to take a quick feedback about any of your EBs, like are they rude or are they kind or are they helping you out or any kind of negative feedback if you guys have for the EB members. Right, delegate of USA, followed by delegate of Greece, followed by delegate of Israel, followed by delegates of Cambodia, delegate of China, delegate of USA.
Feedback is not specific to the EVs, but rather specific to the committee. I feel like the committee pace is kind of slow because with every GSS speech, we're having 2 mandatory POI. I feel like 1 mandatory POI is still enough because we don't have any form of chits or like the chits are not marked as highly this time. Apart from that, I feel like there have been in general a few recognition issues with only a few people, like I think a less number being able to speak today and the time almost being completely elapsed.
Also, USA, as you stated about the recognition issues, considering that we had a limited amount of committee time today, we'll ensure that you are recognized tomorrow and your problem is sorted. Delegate of Greece.
Thank you, Director General. First of all, I would like to state this is not directly to the EB members or
Yeah, it's
to,
about any negative feedback about the committee or EBs that it concludes your whole.
yes, I did like today's session, but I would like if the chairperson makes sure that to the all the delegates to refrain from using personal pronouns and maintain diplomacy, and also the at least the space of the committee should be a bit faster. That's it. Thank you.
Perfect. Points well noted. Okay. Next, who did I recognize? Israel.
The only problem I had was with the recognition of POIs. Like only a lesser amount of delegates were like recognized, and most of them were repeated only.
Right. So I'll also state one thing over here is that your EB members also have a recognition sheet in which they have marked how many POIs have been taken by which delegate. So I believe your EBs are considering that as well. So if any other problems being if any of the problems being faced by you guys, that will be rectified tomorrow. I'll also note the recognition issues down with me so that I can convey to your EBs. Right, Cambodia.
Only 2 or 3 delegates are being recognized throughout the committee for the POIs, and even many of the delegates are left out after being recognized for the general speakers list twice. So it would be better if the EB recognizes more people and stops repeating the delegates again and again, where somebody has spoken only 2 POIs, there another delegate would have spoken more than that.
Perfect. Points well noted. Any other feedback, Cambodia?
No, sir.
Perfect. A delegate of China.
I strongly agree with USA about the recognition issues and that the committee is moving very slow. We actually haven't had a single mod caucus yet, and I don't blame the committee. Obviously, we had guest speakers, but the GSLs are getting extremely monotonous, and now, which they obviously will, right? Because it's a general speed. And I strongly believe that switching to a mod caucus would help hasten the debate. And wait a second, I'm sorry, there's a power cut here. And I just feel like, yeah, like about the recognition issues, I just feel like they could give more fair chances, right? And the POIs are getting a bit repetitive. So I feel like if the speaker wants to take a POI, they can. They don't need to be compulsory.
Perfect, China. Points well noted. Right, delegate of Japan, followed by delegate of UAE.
Right. So 2-3 issues at hand with the executive board. Firstly, I think that certain points have been going way out of the rules of procedure, which has to be followed, because ideally few things have been happening, which is nowhere mentioned in the whole ROP. For example, there's no letter to apology, there's no plea to apology, there's technically other no points in the UN USA rules of procedure. So either there should be something relevant to the committee. I understand that there can be modifications to the ROP so that everyone can be included, newcomers feel much more, affirmative towards the committee.
Perfect.
The committee has been going way too much out of the procedure.
What did you state about right to apology?
Yeah, there was some right to apology and right to reply even in a POI.
Plead
there
to
cannot
apology.
Be, plead to apology, something like that. So that's not in the mandatory ROPs.
Okay,
Right. And sir, secondly, I had the issue of recognition. So, sir, what ideally is followed that there's separate recognition for point of order, separate recognition for speeches, and separate recognition for point of information.
Right.
Exactly. But what the EB is considering overall recognition, that point of orders combined, POIs combined, and even speeches combined. So that leads to a lot of disparity between delegates, and that is the primary reason why we have been facing recognition issues.
Okay, Japan.
Exactly.
Points well noted. I'll just convey this to your EVs as well so that they improve on day 2 and you don't have to face such issues on day 2. Delegate of UAE.
So basically committee is very nice, but I would like the EV to focus more on like time management, because there's some periods that are getting too long, or they get pointless at some point. So the EVs can do something over there, that they put a cap on the POIs, like 1 POI per speech, so that can create more time for other GSL speakers also, and it will not get the committee monotonous.
Just a question to hold the committee. Is the points of information decided by you guys that it is compulsorily, or it is by the discretion of the executive board?
By the discretion of the executive board.
Executive board.
Okay,
By the
okay,
EB.
okay, perfect. Delegate of UK.
Yeah, so firstly, there are major recognition issues. Secondly, when the committee was started, there was a little odd thing. Usually, whenever the committee is started, the chairperson usually introduces the ROPs to the newcomers and stuff, which wasn't done before, due to which there was a lot of confusion as to when people should raise point of information and when to raise point of parliamentary inquiry. So I believe that that should have been done to save time. And yeah, that's all.
Perfect. Points well noted by all of you. I'll just convey all of this to your AB members. Also, we are having international delegates in this committee. International delegates, if you have some feedback regarding the EB or the committee or the proceedings, if you could share any of your feedback, that would be very helpful, and that so that we can improve on day 2 as well. So any of the foreign delegates who's present in the committee and would like to give a feedback about the proceedings for the day 1? Okay, seeing none, we'll just skip that. Also, are there any platform inquiries, like you're not able to raise your hand, or maybe you're not able to unmute at certain times? Right, you may raise your hand. I'll just clarify all of them or note down all of them. Right, Japan followed by Israel, followed by China, followed by UK. Japan.
Right. Sir, it would be great if you allow us to chat on the WhatsApp group given by the, the committee WhatsApp group. So there's, convenience of lobbying over there, if that's possible.
Right, so I'll clear this for all of you. We have been given strict instructions by the Charge the Affairs and Secretary General that we are not allowed to open the groups for your lobbying. But what you guys can do is that maybe you can contact on your Zoom chat, which is available in the when you are available in the committee, so that you also get a like the exchange of thoughts, or maybe if you want to discuss upon something that would be beneficial. Also, if you want to further discuss more, what I'll suggest from my side is that you can personally text that person on WhatsApp and use appropriate language, follow diplomacy, and maybe lobby on that as well. So if that is all I have to say about the lobbying groups. So we cannot anyway open the WhatsApp group, so I hope you don't mind that. Telegraph Israel.
We don't have the access to message directly on Zoom to a particular delegate. We only have the access to message it to the executive board only.
Perfect. I'll just rectify that also. I'll just tell the head office to do that. Okay. Right. Delegate of China, if I recognized you.
I had the same points as them, that the chats are disabled, so I can't exactly lobby. But
okay,
all right.
Perfect. Delegate of UK, you also raised your hand, I believe.
Yeah, same point.
Perfect. If there are any further doubts or any further feedback regarding anything, you can share on my WhatsApp number. It's there in the lobbying group. Also, okay, there are many. Okay, Finland followed by UAE.
So I think there's some feedback in the chat by the foreign delegates.
I'm unable to see it. Could any one of you just?
Yeah, I think they're asking that we should put on the subtitles.
Put on the subtitles. Right, I'll just note that down. Put subtitles in what sense?
Zoom has a feature for turning on subtitles.
Oh, right, noted. I'll just do that. UAE.
So I'd like to say that over here there are some members in the committee who have spoken earlier, like given speeches, but are believing that they are not getting recognition. But I just like that everyone should know that everybody wants recognition over here. So not to fight over recognition issues like that, because I believe that EB would provide us all recognition issues. And I would also like you to convey the EBs to do that the same.
Perfect.
Providing
Your
everybody recognition.
recognition sheet will be shared by the EB on the day 3. So that should not be a big problem, right? Right. Cambodia.
Thank you for the recognition, sir. So, we are also not being marked for the chits that we are sending, as most of us are not able to ask the POIs. Only two people are being recognized for the same. So, if possible, kindly ask the EB members to do a marking for the chits as well, so that all of us are able to express our views regarding the same.
Just a clarification from my side. How are you guys sending chits through, on the email ID given or on the Zoom chat?
On the Zoom chat, sir, to the EB.
Okay, I'll just clarify upon that. So how is it like going via EB? How are you guys doing the via EB thing? The PYs on via EB.
Like we are sending the chits to the EB, and then I guess they are forwarding it to the specific delegate.
There is no
That's what-
mechanism as of now. They were saying that we directly give them to like the EB and then send the same message to the delegate directly also. But since we can't message the delegate directly right now, there's only via to EB.
Perfect, perfect. Noted down. I think that's all. Also, if you have any queries, just contact me on my personal number. It's there on the lobbying group. Rest, I hope day 2 and day 3 will be much improved. Yeah, Denmark.
I just wanted to say that the committee pace is a bit slow because the EB is trying to incorporate like the newcomers also, so they're answering a lot of questions. So I think they're trying their best to answer, and that's why it's taking a bit long. And since it's the first day, they want to clear every point, and that's
Perfect.
I also agree. I also agree that the committee session is going well. I think they're just trying to finish up with the GSLs and all. That's why it's a bit slow, but it's going well.
Perfect. Perfect. Well noted. Thank you, Samara, and thank you, Nitya. Points well noted. Thank you, guys. That's all for the feedback session. I'll tell your EVs to join back.
All right, so we are back.
We'll be continuing.
Point of final, I think, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am, is it possible if the delegates could opt for an unmod, because we haven't decided the mod topics yet? So is it possible if we could talk about that?
Yes, I was just going to say now we'll be looking for motions on the floor before we resume. So any and all motions, please raise your hand now. The delegate of South Africa, followed by the delegate of China, followed by the delegate of Greece, followed by the delegate of the United States.
Right, can I continue?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the delegate of South Africa would like to suspend formal debate and move into an unmoderated caucus for 15 minutes.
Noted, delegate. Thank you. Yes, delegate of Greece.
I believe China was next and then Greece.
Sorry, China followed by Greece.
Yeah. We all actually have the same motion for an unmoderated caucus of 15 minutes, just to be clear. So can we just have a voting on South Africa's motion first?
First, any other motions which are not this on the floor? Any other motions for a moderated caucus, perhaps? Yes, the delegate of Greece.
Delegate of Greece would like to raise a motion for the exploring strategies for eradicating domestic violence and providing immediate support to victims for 15 minutes and 90 seconds for each speaker. Thank you.
All right, thank you, delegate. The delegate of Nigeria.
Yeah, I would like to say that we continue with the GSL, because in the meantime we didn't get that much of time to like talk with the alliances and form the moderated caucus. So in today's time we can discuss with the help of WhatsApp groups, and we can decide on a moderated caucus. It's because of the time issue we are not left with that much of time, so it is not appropriate to go with the moderated caucus at this time.
Delegate, that's more of a suggestion than a motion, so I won't be accepting that motion. We have two motions on the floor. The first raised by the delegate of South Africa for an unmoderated caucus for 15 minutes. All delegates in favor, please raise your hand now.
So the simple majority, what would it be, Samaya, if you were aware of that?
I believe we are yet to calculate that, but I think the motion clearly passes based on the delegates who've raised their hands, as there are more than 16 delegates. So this motion is in favor.
But 60, yeah, there are 28 hands in favor. Yeah, this passes. So now we're in an unmoderated caucus for 15 minutes.
Point of inquiry, what is the total strength president voting today?
Yeah, we'll just let you know.
Yes.
All right, so before...
All right, we may continue with the unmoderated caucus. And in case you want to be in case you want to be broken down into breakout rooms, you can let us know.
Yes,
all right, thank you, Chair.
So guys, I'll just
delegate of
be
USA
sharing my screen
before this becomes a...
Before delegate of USA keeps repeating the same point over and over again, I think we need to hear all the delegates so that we can look at the more.
Say that I'm sharing the screen so that everyone can see the topics and we can remove the ones that the company doesn't agree to. I don't understand.
let's just hear the opinions of others, starting off Brazil.
All right. Russian Federation, please go ahead.
Brazil, do you have anything to say?
Right. So Brazil. So I would like to say that some of the topics I can already see being repeated. So point 4 and point 7 seems similar.
Right, that's correct.
Hungary, do you have any? Okay, well, we know the points are being repeated. Does anybody else have any other mod caucus topics they want?
Right. Okay, so I think just to be proposed here, suppose I have proposed a moderated caucus. So let us explain our moderated caucus, explain the relevance of that moderated caucus, and then unanimously maybe decide that.
That's correct. That's correct. But
Alright, so
I think
what
what the first thing that we can do is
how
that
about people raise their mod caucus topic, the
Just a
ideas
second,
that they have posted in the chat, and we'll have a
let's
voting
do
about
something that
as a
whatever we have a lot of topics,
Delegate,
right? We have like I think like 15-16 topics. So as the delegate of I think Brazil mentioned that the topics which are similar, there isn't the need to separately vote upon them, right? So
delegate of
first
USA,
we can
as this
do
is
is
a
that,
wait, just hear me out for a second. Too
Delegate
fast
of
to some
can I
US.
just complete my
Delegate
sentence and you can
Delegate of
definitely
US
go ahead? I
just
just want to say
please.
one thing. Can we just simply club the topics that are already like repeated, like intimate
We
domestic
will be
violence
doing that.
and domestic
Delegate of
violence, right?
Delegate
Let's
of
just
US.
start doing that first because we have
Delegate, please,
Delegate
can you
of
speak
US.
at once?
Wait, I would suggest
delegate of
let us.
UK. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I would suggest that firstly, I don't think everyone has put their suggestions. If there's anyone left, so they can put it right now itself. And after everyone has put, we can start discussing the mod box from the order itself, and then we can see
Right,
if
understood.
are
Since this
similar,
is
we
a
can group them
diplomatic
together.
since this is a diplomatic conference, can we just, like as I think the delegate of so delegate of South Africa said that we'll explain our mod caucus topic and we'll have a voting on it. Because in this unmoderated caucus, if we're brutally honest about it, only 4 or 5 delegates are speaking and arguing. The rest of the delegates, like for example, the foreign delegates, are pretty quiet about it. So let's just post our mod caucus topic in the chat or talk about it, or like as the delegate of
Not
US
in the
is
chat. I
saying,
think everyone just
we can have a voting on it, right?
Yeah,
Can
guys,
we send
let's
the link to
not talk about the
the
topics which are.
we send the link to this particular document on the chat, and everyone please on this document only, so that it becomes easier for us, because then we'll have topics on the chat and on the document as well. So
Yeah.
that will make it more difficult to decide, right? So
Just
just
a
keep
minute,
so there
let's
are a
just
lot of
Guys,
small
let's not
even
talk
like a
about.
few
Other
minutes
than
more.
discussing
Just a second.
about
Let's just
domestic
give people a
violence.
few minutes more, then they can just simply add their topics, because I think only a few the countries have given the topics, right? Like I think this topic was recently added. So basically, guys, for these like few minutes, the next few minutes, everyone should add those topics, and then we'll begin with combining the topics. I completely agree. Everyone has to be given the chance to explain the topic, because they are the best ones to let the committee know about what they need. But then it is also very time consuming. अगर हम हर topic के पास जाएंगे, हर topic को बताना है, फिर like उस पे voting भी करनी है, तो
It's
इसलिए
just be
similar
having a
topics
direct voting about it. That's a diplomatic
Let's
approach.
just-
You
let's
guys
just
are
start
not
with the
getting
first
voting is
let's
best.
just
Like,
start with the
voting is
first
a
topic
voting is the
itself.
best
Delegate
approach. But
caucus.
before
I'm
voting,
really sorry to disturb everyone again.
Delegate,
I
can
think
the
I
delegate
still
of
think
Japan,
that we
wait a
should.
second, delegate of Japan, please go ahead.
I still think that we should go by the
Right.
system where we shortlist 5 and then we
Exactly,
vote upon them, because then voting upon every topic does not seem relevant either to the
Or
scarcity of
something
time we're
topics.
facing.
It is not possible
And
to
exactly.
vote like that.
delegates,
I think
delegates, a lot of
Japan is
topics.
completely right.
Let's just
Like, we
start.
need to really
But,
club the
yeah.
topics.
Can I
So-
speak something? Just a minute, Yusuf.
Guys, can
Oh,
we
wait,
just
wait. Who
can
wanted
we
to
just
speak? Delegate of
Every
Nigeria.
single
Delegate of Nigeria, go ahead.
Guys, just one thing. Matlab, to my
Right,
preference,
Japan.
I have shortlisted 4 out of all this list. So if we are considering something, just consider as the recommendation by the committee, not just by Japan.
In the
If you want to
document,
vote directly.
Wait, delegate of USA, just give me a second.
Let
Like
Nigeria speak.
your
Nigeria
suggestion
wanted
of
to speak.
clubbing
Can you
up
please
the
let Nigeria speak, delegate? Nigeria, are you there? Do you,
Yeah, I am here only. So what I was
ahead.
speaking that earlier I was not able to write in the
right.
like docs. So now I am able to, but someone is deleting again and again my ideas.
Yes.
Can I just give it here only? So what
Send
my-
it on the
Just
chat. I'll
send it
add
on
them
the
down,
chat.
right?
And USA, I would suggest that we start from the top down.
Right,
upwards.
right,
We'll just,
understandable.
look at the motions which
Right,
are
right.
written.
Only delegate of
There are
Nigeria.
It's better that we
Just
have
a
a
second,
clause by
guys.
clause
Delegate
discussion
of
over here.
Nigeria, please give your topics in the chat and simply add them down to the top of the list so that no one deletes them.
Right.
Just send them on the chat. But everyone else, if you have access to the document, then please try accessing the document itself. Do not send the solution somewhere else. It
delegate
becomes
of
difficult
USA,
to.
can I speak now?
Guys, let's just start
Ma'am, just a
discussing
second.
the
Let's
motions
just
instead
start
of.
the procedure, then you'll be given the
Okay, so
chance.
delegate
start
of
with
India
the
is trying to
motions.
say something.
Ma'am, just a second. Is it possible if you could, just add the topics once and then we can go ahead with that?
The unmoderated
Wait,
caucus is
people.
only for 15 minutes, and we're I think almost 10 minutes in, so we have to start
In
finalizing.
10 minutes, what we've been given as suggestions. We're not starting the work. I believe if
No, no, no.
if you
I'm just
and I
saying
both agree on the fact that
instead
there's
of
less time left, let's just
USA,
start the work.
China,
Can
Nigeria,
you stop
everyone.
arguing and start discussing to be
Exactly.
productive?
Yes,
USA,
delegate.
China, and
Delegates
India
on
speak
this
up as
basis.
well.
Give me 10 seconds. We can already see that there are a lot of ideas about domestic violence. So why not start with a discussion about a moderated caucus for domestic violence? Because we can already see that there are a lot of moderated caucus already.
Actually,
See,
China
whatever
is
topics are
this
repeated,
topic,
whatever topics are being repeated the
There
most.
must be voting again.
Guys, listen, I have
There
a
must be
suggestion.
voting, but
Listen,
what we can do is we can
listen.
club the
UK,
topics
USA,
together.
UK,
Right?
USA,
The
China,
topic-
just
Delegate,
listen.
there are topics, but I think
Guys,
delegate,
raise your hands.
please
Please raise your
delegate.
hands.
Delegates, there
Who
won't
want to
be
speak?
there
All
won't be any
topics that are
constructive
being
conclusion to this
repeated.
debate.
A lot of foreign
There won't
Delegates,
be
delegates, right?
Guys, we
All
won't
those who
come
want
to
to
the
speak,
conclusion.
please
We
raise
won't
your
come to
hands. If
the
you want to
conclusion.
get a chance
No,
to speak,
USA,
please
that
raise your
would be
hand.
very chaotic. As
There
well.
won't
So I think that's the best approach
delegates
right
just
now.
listen to me. Just one
Okay,
thing.
Let
Cambodia,
Japan speak.
Cambodia.
Delegate of USA. Delegate of USA. Let Japan
Maintain
speak.
decorum. Please maintain
Please,
decorum.
let
Just
delegate.
like
Just
ask
one thing.
or others
I'm
speak.
still
Okay,
I'm
what do you
still
want to
telling
say?
that
Right.
I have delegate of Japan said I've already posted the list of the topic. It is not an individual effort. Consider it as a committee's effort and just directly vote upon them, because these are combination of
Wait.
all the topics. Even if you look to the topics, it considers gender-based violence that includes domestic violence, and then we have
agree
right
with the delegate of Japan, and I feel like we should just start voting, because for the last time the unmoderated caucus is ending. We have to finalize the topics.
Just a
So
minute.
what is this, guys?
Wait and
wait.
Before
we
voting
should
on
get
the
top
topics,
5
instead of
voting
delegates,
suddenly.
delegates. I feel like before voting on the topics, you have 20 something topics. If you want to like not waste time, then obviously voting
But
and
not going to be
having
voting
everyone.
for all the 20
USA,
something
please let
topics.
others
I
speak.
gave you your time to
Delegate of
speak.
USA,
Please
please
not
let
interrupt
them
me in my
speak.
sentences.
Alright,
We have
delegate
to have
USA,
20
please
something
let others
topics,
speak
and
for
it
a
is not
minute.
the best thing to
If we're
vote
going
and
to
discuss each one of them.
Delegate of
I
USA,
agree
can you
with
just
delegate.
please
I
listen to
agree
me
with
for
delegate of
1
Japan.
second?
Delegate of USA, please maintain decorum.
Guys.
USA, can you please let everyone speak?
Yes.
Exactly,
Don't
thank
be,
you.
don't be so
Delegate,
dominant.
please let others speak as
Yes,
well.
USA, you are
Delegate of
not
US,
letting like everyone speak.
I
Yes,
have shared
please.
my topic. I am trying to let everyone
Guys,
Delegate, we have
wait, this is not
noted
a
your
fruitful
point. Please let
discussion.
others speak as well.
Wait, we are just arguing on
There
the
are
same thing
over
again and
50
again. This is
delegates
not a
here.
fruitful
So
discussion.
how
Wait.
the voting approach was the only non-chaotic approach about this. Okay, so because if everyone starts explaining their topics and trying to club them up,
You
it's
agree
not
to the
going to
fact
happen.
that you agree to the
Delegate of
fact that
USA,
domestic
Hey,
violence
can
is
you
a
stop
common topic,
Delegate of
right?
USA,
for a minute?
Delegate
can
from
wait.
China.
Just
China.
let me make one
Delegate,
point.
please maintain
As the
decorum.
delegate of
Delegate
China
of China.
suggested, domestic
Delegate of
violence is a
USA,
repeated
delegate of
topic.
USA.
Delegate
We
of USA,
have to
please
decide the
Delegate of
topics.
US.
Can you please wait? Guys,
Guys,
firstly, that topics
in their
in the
opinion,
chat. Listen,
we all
Delegate,
know that
please.
domestic violence
Let's
is a
Let's
repeated
stop.
topic.
just
Like
please
for
let me
Can we
speak,
simply
bro.
just have a topic on domestic
Delegate, let
Oh my
violence?
the
God.
delegate of
Delegates,
Singapore let
can all of you just stop for 1 second? Just stop, literally. Hold on, everyone is just speaking over one over the other. We have just to do voting. That's a simple thing. Why is there so much of discussion? No interruptions,
Guys,
please.
How
I
about
would
we
just like
start
to
with
say
listen to
one
me
nice
thing.
once.
podcast?
Yes,
The first one
delegate
is
one
Guys,
else
before
other
you
than
all
the
start
delegate of
speaking,
US
Can we speak one by one? Can we
before
speak
you
one
all
by
start
one?
speaking,
Delegates, I
Delegate of
still
UK, right?
of USA can go at the
can
last.
Delegates,
I
this
can
is
start by
can
saying
the
by the hand raising.
Yes,
guys,
everyone. Can we be just diplomatic for 1
US,
second?
wait.
Critic,
Can,
it is causing a lot of chaos.
Delegate, please raise your hand for whoever wants to speak. The first one is
guys,
USA.
Hear the delegate
I
of
just
Cuba out.
The approach can't we raise hands? Like
can I
I'll do the same. I'll raise my hand to speak.
guys,
And
I
can't the
just
others
want
also do the
to
same?
guys chill. Wait, wait.
Wait, delegate of
Wait.
UK, yes. You're trying to speak for the past 5 minutes. I can hear you.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Guys, instead of arguing, let's just vote upon the topics. I would suggest that we like talk about the education topic, since it is like suggested by a lot of people and it's the topic which is related to the agenda itself, and we can like
Clubbing it, right? I think clubbing
yeah,
is
so
important.
yes.
Delegate, please wait and
Everyone is
discuss.
just saying
Delegate, let them
education
speak.
topic.
Delegates, they are agreeing.
Lower your hands. Let's have a
First topic,
voting.
right? Guys,
Once you
start
start
with the first
voting,
topic.
you will
Delegate,
already
can
get to
we
see
start
what all
voting
topics
for
are
us?
like.
Delegates,
Start
can you please
voting.
lower your hands down? We can have a voting right here. Just lower your hands down.
Can someone please add my idea? I have sent it in the topic.
Vote, challao mat yaar.
Okay.
Someone please add my idea.
Decorum.
Please
Can you
challao
delegate
mat.
of USA,
lower down
you
your
can
hands.
please stop dominating
the committee.
Delegate,
Delegate,
Miss
Delegate,
Thank you.
South Africa to talk and ask.
The South Africa, can you explain your topic, please?
Guys, the chair
No,
is
we
trying to
can't
say something.
explain.
Can
We
we just
don't
hear
have
them out?
time.
We don't have enough time.
We don't have time for
Delegate,
this.
the chair is here.
What we need is let's
Delegates,
take
the chair is
another
trying
unmod.
to
Let's
speak.
take
Please
another
let the
unmod
chair
after
is
this.
trying
Chair is trying
Guys,
to
let's take another
delegate the
unmod
chair
after
is
this.
trying to
If
say
we wouldn't
something.
have
Can we
time.
okay, delegates, everybody please mute yourself.
Over something.
Could you
Guys, let's take
Alright,
another
so I have
unmod
received
after
Hello.
this.
Maintain
This
decorum,
is-
please.
Delegates, we
All right.
expect you to please
I have received a
maintain.
request from the delegate of Cambodia to make breakout rooms for discussion since this is getting very chaotic, is what the delegate has said. So do you guys want that? Do you guys want breakout rooms?
No,
Yes,
there's
please.
not.
No,
I
no.
feel like
no.
this
I
is
think the
a
breakout
company
rooms
speak
we cannot.
discussion.
There
Here I
would
have
be
a
very
suggestion.
So
wide
delegates,
range of
just
debating.
two
I
things.
think we should
Please
let
be
other
courteous to all delegates and please only strictly use English. We have foreign delegates too. You may continue. You still have 8 minutes. But
Delegate,
please,
sorry, Chair, I have a point of inquiry. Can I?
right.
All right. So since it's getting too chaotic, how about we raise our motions here for the mod caucus topic, since we already have formed our blocks and we have a voting right here with you present, so that it can be more uniform and everybody's voice can be heard, right? Because it's a
Point of
diplomatic.
inquiry.
Excuse me, can I say
Point
something?
of inquiry.
I'm trying to
Have a
tackle like
formal
last
voting
7
in
One
an
second,
atmosphere.
delegates. 1 second, delegates, one by one.
Can I say something?
Heeding to the point the delegate of China raised, we won't be finishing the unmoderated caucus before the time has exhausted. But before we move on to voting for motions in the unmoderated, after the unmoderated caucus, somebody will also have to summarize and conclude what took place in the unmoderated caucus. We'll be taking 2 more points and then I think it'll be best if you resume
Can I
with your
say something?
unmoderated
Point of parliamentary inquiry, ma'am.
Excuse me,
Yes,
can I say
delegate.
something?
A point of
Yes.
parliamentary inquiry, ma'am.
I think Nigeria wants to speak from a very long time.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So what I was saying, I have added my idea in the chat box. It would be great if someone adds it in the docs.
Wait, I'll just add that, right? Ma'am, I also had a point of parliamentary inquiry.
Yes,
Yeah, go
delegate.
ahead.
This will be the last point.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to suggest this to the committee. They haven't been listening because apparently I've been speaking too much. But the thing is that, as you can see in this document that I've shared, a lot of policies that a lot of more topics that we have, they are basically on the same topic. So what I've been suggesting is that, instead of voting upon these two topics, the fourth and the seventh one, which is basically exactly the same, what we can do is we can simply club it so that we can reduce the number of topics for ourselves and reduce the number of votings that have to be that have to take place right now.
Delegate.
But I'm only open with that suggestion as of yet.
Right, delegate, this is a democratic committee. We're here to facilitate debate and moderate
Right,
it.
ma'am.
We don't have a say in what moderated caucus topics you go ahead with. That's a consensus of all the delegates in the committee. So instead of asking the chair, you may talk to the delegates about it. Thank you.
Right, ma'am, understandable.
Thank you,
Now,
Chair. So
ma'am,
can
can
we
you
just
begin our
move
unmod?
directly into the
As
voting
Delegate of
process?
Nigeria, kindly
You
send
can
the
resume your
topics
unmod.
again.
Thank you,
Did
ma'am.
someone
Right.
add
All
the
right.
topic?
Can we have a wait? Just guys,
Delegate of
hear me out for a
Nigeria.
second. Just for 5 seconds, okay? I'm repeating the mod caucus topic and we can have a vote on it. All right? Just lower your
Ma'am,
hand.
just a minute.
Guys, there's no point in voting.
China, delegate
Just,
of China.
just start with
Whatever-
simple topic. Bas yes ya no batao.
Delegate of
Take
UK,
second,
what are
wait.
you suggesting?
Delegate,
I don't
cannot
want
hear
Give me
me.
5 seconds. Give me 5 seconds.
Have
Let
more
me.
consensus or common topics. Like I think one is education.
Exactly,
The
I
next one is
completely
domestic
agree.
violence. So I think first,
Whatever-
wait,
whatever
because
is-
Guys, I have come up with
Come
the.
on, guys.
Guys, I think the delegate of Iran
Delegates,
has
can you
wanted to
please
speak for a while. Iran and UAE. I have
Delegate
seen their
Delegate
hands
of
raised
Iran.
in the previous
No.
time.
Delegate of China.
Delegates, one thing. One thing I
Wait,
won't speak for
Japan can Iran
Guys,
please speak?
listen to me.
So Iran
I
hasn't been
won't-
given the chance to
Listen.
speak.
USA,
Because
please.
Delegate of USA, if someone's speaking, let them speak.
Exactly.
I'm just saying that we already have consensus. We are just fighting for, different statute. We have education topic, we'll have a
Right,
solution topic,
right.
and we'll have a legal loophole topic. So we are ready with 3 topics. We are just
Guys,
fighting
I
for
whatever is
exactly,
being
delegate of Japan,
understood.
that is what I am saying.
Everybody has a
Guys,
similar
can I
opinion
just
on the
speak for a minute?
education topic. So
Delegate
can
of
we have
Japan,
a
that
vote
is
for
what
a
I am
moderated
saying. Let's
topic
just take with the
on
education
education?
topic. We have
Let
domestic
delegate of Japan
violence.
at least finish, guys. Then you can continue.
US.
right. So my whole idea is that we are just fighting because we don't know that actually there are different framing of different topics, but we have 3 topics already decided. One is
Exactly. We
education,
can frame
everything is common in education. Second is legal loophole. Third is domestic violence, and fourth is solutions to the agenda. So ideally, we are ready with 4 topics. If everyone is fine with it, can we
Alright,
continue?
but we need to
Let's see.
have
I
the
think
delegate of
USA
UK
can
want
be-
to
please,
solutions.
please wait.
Delegate of
wait.
UK, please go ahead.
May I please see?
Delegate of UK, yes.
Japan, I totally agree with you. That is exactly what my point was. Let's just take the common topics which are already being given in the
Exactly. That's completely correct.
which is education and domestic violence. So let's just keep the first more topic for tomorrow, education. Second, we can do domestic violence, and after that, it is like we have to discuss.
We
solutions.
have an unwanted topic tomorrow. For now, two more topics
Wait,
topics are
I'm not over, just like this.
Please, delegates,
Wait,
please
guys.
wait.
Delegates again.
It's the education
Guys,
topic that
guys,
has been suggested.
Delegate of USA, please let others speak.
Delegates
One
kindly
minute.
allow me
USA,
to ask
please,
one.
please,
Delegates
just
can
calm.
please
USA,
let
please
others
calm.
speak
Delegates,
also.
let us start
Yeah,
the vote. We
there
have been
are other
arguing for the
people
past
also who
2
are
minutes.
Guys,
taking
You
leave
guys,
not
please
face
slow
to
down
face.
your
Not
hands
only
and
about you.
please go on mute, delegates. Please go on mute and tap your hands. We
Just
have
a
a
minute,
voting right here
guys.
about the
Right.
topics that you guys
Oh
want.
God,
It's
delegates, can you please
Voting,
stop?
can we please decide? Can we please
Can you
finalize
please
the
let
mod-
the delegate
Guys,
decide?
Delegates, please lower your
request
hands.
you all to lower down your hands and we can actually start the vote and move the committee ahead instead of meaninglessly talking over each other.
There is
Right?
no
So
way.
let us
Delegate of Nigeria and delegate of
let's
USA,
have a
please
vote.
lower your
Okay,
hands.
wait.
Topics
Right.
have already been
Guys, let us
confirmed.
have
There
a
is
vote.
no-
Everyone lower down their hands.
Delegate
Now
of UK,
everyone
kindly allow Delegate of Finland to speak. She's speaking, you're cutting her out.
Wait, we just need to have a voting once about the education topic.
Yes,
USA,
guys.
Greece,
Delegate of
Nigeria,
China,
please lower down your hands for a bit.
Just a minute,
Cameroon,
guys. Delegates, can we please
lower
allow
down your
Delegate of
hands for
Finland to
5 seconds,
speak?
guys. We just need to have a
Delegate
single
of Nigeria, Greece, USA, and Cameroon, please lower your hands.
Delegates, I think
Thank
let's
you,
start
Manisha.
with the voting.
All right.
Let's start with the voting
so
directly.
Delegate, your hand is
first
raised.
topic is
Delegates, just for your reference, you
intimate
just
partner
have 2
violence.
minutes
Just
left.
trying to say something.
Partner violence. Okay, so
Yeah,
let us.
she said that we have 2
everyone
minutes
who is
left.
in
Right,
favor-
delegates. Okay.
Acha,
We all agree
Everyone
that
who
intimate
is in
partner
favor-
violence is a common
Delegate
topic.
of
Right?
China, please.
USA, can you please? All right.
Ma'am,
We
can
have
we
a
please
voting.
continue with the
How
process?
many
We
people
already
here?
have wasted
Delegate,
one
just
entire
a-
month.
just a
Already
second.
just simply vote on the
Vote on
intimate
the-
partner
vote on
violence
the
topic.
education
Everyone
topic.
who is
Guys,
in
can you
favor-
all-
Intimate partner
Can we
violence
please
is
start
violent.
voting? We have
has
2 minutes
no
left.
point.
Vote,
Guys,
vote.
can you please
Listen.
stop screaming and
Everyone in
vote on the
favor of
topic?
education being our first mod caucus topic,
Yes.
we'll reframe it.
Please raise
Please
your
vote.
hand.
Please raise your hands.
South is education directly related to the agenda because the agenda completely
No,
talks
like
about
awareness
failures
and
and
campaigns.
awareness.
Yeah, all of that will come under
Celebration
this
on
subtopic.
Yeah.
Related to
Fine,
legal
and blend that
systems,
very
because our
quickly.
agenda
It
is
is
about
like
legal
relating to
systems.
deliberation of
Delegates, if you are in
education
favor
with
of-
regards to awareness. So you
Delegates,
can
it would be
Please
better
raise your
if we
hand.
add on one more topic, this education.
Delegate, can I
you
just
will
please
have
have my
enough
doubts cleared
time
about the
today to
topic?
research.
Please let one
Delegate-
delegate speak
wait.
at once.
Delegate of China, just a minute, let me clarify for the ones who are not understanding. This education, of course, will not propose the topic as education. This
Right.
education is the theme of the subtopic that we are proposing, right? So everyone, I'm repeating for the foreign delegates too, who think like, I think they think that the committee is going too fast. Everyone who thinks that education should be the should be the theme for the first mod topic, please raise your hands.
I have better
Clarify
option for this.
something. Just to
I have
clarify
better-
something.
just a
So
minute.
Japan, just a
USA.
minute. Please just I started
we
to
need
speak
to
and
wind this
interrupt.
up.
Speaking the entire unmoderated topic.
Japan, let me
Please wait a minute. Let
We-
others
Of
speak
Japan,
as
you can
well.
go ahead. You can go ahead.
Yes, actually, what I'm saying that let's skip this voting procedure. What I'm doing is that I'm listing down the 4 topics.
Delegate,
just
the
react
voting
to this
procedure is
message.
very important.
Just
But
react to that
Please
message.
let them speak. Please let
Can
them
I
speak.
speak? Can I
What I'm
speak
saying that
something?
since we don't have
Nigeria,
time, that
just
what
give
I'm
it-
doing
give
is
it a
I'm
minute.
drafting a message. Just react on it. Thumbs up. If we get 26, it automatically passes. So ideally, 4
It does
topics would
work.
get equal
All
voting,
right.
right?
Guys, you will have enough
That is
time
perfectly fine.
like today to research on the topic for tomorrow. So
I want to
anyone
say
who is
something. Like we have 3 more
Nigeria,
topics.
go ahead. Right.
So what we can like we have 3 mods. So what we can do, we can start with the basic, and everybody is saying education. So what we can do, like in many countries has not that much developed education system. So what we can do, like signify it the education into like the weak system of the education in different countries. ये हम topic first sorry.
Let's not have domestic violence as an option.
Delegates can
Domestic violence is
we can
basically
rephrase
domestic
it as
violence.
Nigeria, we can rephrase it as we we want it. Like
Delegate,
EC as
please
a
let
theme,
him
we can
finish.
rephrase
Please
it.
let him
I-
finish.
I have not
I
finished.
feel like we will.
Delegate
Yeah,
and
thank
Yuki,
you.
can I get your number on the chat?
Delegates, so these three topics that I've highlighted right now. Do you
Delegate,
guys
please
think
let
that this is
Nigeria
what
speak.
you've come
Guys,
to?
I have not
Delegate,
completed
delegate.
yet. I have
Okay,
not
wait.
completed yet.
Nigeria, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah, what I was saying
Delegate
that
of Japan, please contact me on speech.
education is something like it's a core. Like you are saying, domestic violence and other things, intimidation partner is something else. We are talking. We are going to talk. We have 3 months. Why are we fighting? We can start with the basic, which is education. Like to create awareness and the legal system of it, which is like not that much developed in many countries. So what we are saying is education, and we have other 2 mod sessions also. So why are we fighting?
All right, delegates, you've already lapsed your unmod by 1 minute. Now we'll be looking for speakers who will conclude what was discussed in the unmoderated caucus, please. The delegate of Nigeria, followed by the delegate of Denmark.
Yeah, so what we discuss is like about the more topics. We discuss one is like the education system, importance of education to stop femicide. The second is domestic violence, and the third is intimidation partner.
All right, thank you, delegate. Denmark.
Yes, so in our unmoderated session, we shortlisted on 4 topics for moderated caucus, the order being education, domestic violence, and then solutions, general solutions.
All right, are there any motions on the floor for moderated?
Ma'am, really sorry for interrupting. I have a point of parliamentary inquiry.
Yes, delegate.
Thank you, ma'am. By what time does the committee time for today end?
5:30, delegate.
All
So
right,
we have around 17 minutes left.
Samaya, it's still 5:15, I believe, because then they have the cultural program for from 5:15 to 6:30.
Oh.
Yeah, committee has to end at 5:15, and
Oh,
then
I
the
was not
cultural
aware.
program is 5:30. And
So we only have 2 minutes, delegates. What we can do is we can start with moderated caucuses tomorrow. We can resume with the GSL right now because we only have 2 minutes left. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Chair, I have a point of inquiry. Since there would be really no point of doing a GSL, can we just have a motion for deciding the moderated caucus topic right now and have it tomorrow? We just need to finalize the topic and have an official
Yes,
GSL.
ma'am, I agree with that.
If we do
The
it
delegate of China, you may raise a motion. 1 second, delegates. The delegate of China, you may raise a motion to move into another unmoderated caucus for 2 minutes, if you wish to do so.
No, delegate, no, chair, I just need to raise a motion and we can have an official voting to decide the moderated caucus topic for tomorrow.
All right,
So that
please.
the committee. All right, can I?
Yes, please, delegate.
Okay, the delegate of China would like to raise a motion for to enter a moderated caucus on the topic. 1 second. Deliberation on this. Oh wait, sorry. Exploring strategies for eradicating domestic violence and providing immediate assistance to the victims for 30 minutes, with each speaker's time being 60 seconds.
All right, thank you, delegate. We'll be taking we'll be voting on this today itself. Any delegates in favor? Please raise your hand now.
the simple majority is 26. In
So
fact,
we need at least 27 people in favor of this.
Yeah.
Delegates who are in favor, kindly raise your hand at once so that we can begin the counting. Right.
14 till now.
Yeah, we don't have simple majority as of yet.
Excuse me, can I propose a motion?
Yes,
Delegate.
delegate, propose a motion.
Parliamentary
But
inquiry, Chair.
let's just finish counting.
Then after, can I
12.
Could the delegate of Singapore please propose a motion?
1 second, delegates. Let's just finish with the counting of the number of votes for this, and then we'll be looking for more motions.
Okay, then after, can I do the delegate of India form a motion?
Delegates, 1 second. This motion fails. Everybody, please put your hands down now.
Can the delegate of Nigeria put a motion?
Yes, delegate, you have been recognized to raise a motion.
Thank you. The delegate of Nigeria proposes a motion, importance of education to stop and control femicide for 30 minutes, 90 seconds each for every delegate.
Any and all delegates in favor, please raise your hand. we'll be looking at relative majority because it doesn't seem as if any of the motions will be reaching special majority or simple majority.
Ma'am, point of parliamentary inquiry.
Yeah.
Can I also raise a motion after this?
Um,
But I think we've been told to end the committee.
Ma'am, point of personal privilege.
No motion is to head the
delegate-
committee for tomorrow's session, I believe.
Yes, any delegates in favor? We'll be reconducting the motion for moderated caucuses tomorrow, as I believe a lot of delegates have also started leaving. So we'll just be looking for a motion to end the committee and we'll be dispersing for today.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
One
Yeah, go
second,
ahead.
delegate. Any motions to end the committee and then we'll be moving on to the delegate of Iran. Why?
Can we give like a small feedback to them, Samaya? Like a 3-minute feedback and then we can just let them go.
Yeah, sure. I believe
You can
this
start
we
with
have
the
3 minutes.
Yeah, you can start with the feedbacks.
Right. So I'll just switch off my camera as I believe there's some internet issue. The delegates, you guys were good today, but one thing that's seriously lacking in the committee is solutions. Your POIs, a lot of you are continuously asking POIs, but none of them are of the quality that we'd actually expect out of you. Because you're just Google searching statistics against countries and asking countries to justify their speeches based on the statistics. We'd like you to ask POIs actually pertaining to the speeches. Secondly, the committee was very slow today, and we really hope that it'll move at a faster pace tomorrow and that there'll be actual debate. A lot of your point of orders were valid. All of your point of orders that were raised today were invalid. So we really appreciate it if you actually raise a point of order at factual inaccuracies. We really hope that you'll be sending documentation today because if there are good joint statements or press releases, we may consider initiating them and discussing them in the committee tomorrow. We're not 100% sure about the crisis, but if there is one, then it will be initiated in the first half tomorrow after your moderated caucuses. But all of you have good research. Try to lobby as much as you can today. You do have access to WhatsApp since you have exchanged numbers now. So just keep focusing on solutions and please come up with good POIs tomorrow because POIs do have high weightage since we don't have a provision of chits in the committee. Khyati and Anisha, you guys can go next. Then go now.
All right. So I think the committee was, very slow today. And that is simply because of the fact that you guys didn't indulge in debate. GSL, I always believe that is a very generic thing and everyone can just come up and say new different points every time and there's no continuity and everyone can pick up any aspect of the agenda and then start talking about it. So I feel like GSL is not an efficient way to make the committee faster or more interesting. So for that, you need moderated caucuses, but you didn't want that today for some reason. So yeah, that's one thing. And then the other thing is, I think there's a hunger for recognition in this committee, but when recognition is given, then you're not making the best use of it because there were many questions that were asked that were very irrelevant to the speeches that were said in the committee. And there was a lack of constructive information and solutions. So your speeches lacked analysis and solutions, the two main things that we were looking forward to in this committee. And I think we will definitely see better things tomorrow when you guys will start the moderated caucuses. I'm hoping that will happen. And as for the unmods, it was very chaotic. It was very difficult to identify who is trying to speak and who's not trying to speak since you guys were shouting at the same time. So that is something that was not, that did not reflect very well on the committee. Other than that, yeah, I think once you work on your speeches and try to include as many solutions as you can, we'll definitely see some improvement. Yeah, so that's it from my side. Anisha?
Yeah, so Khyati and Samaya covered most of the points that we felt today. There were some loopholes when it came to, making the most out of your recognition that, as Khyati mentioned, some people had problems with the recognition, but we are trying to include as much as all of you, when we've been trying to stay transparent as well in that case. Just a little feedback about the unmoderated caucus would be that there was nothing constructed out of the unmoderated caucus today. As mentioned by Khyati, you were just shouting on each other. And there was hardly, you guys didn't get any marks out of such conversations. You should lobby for a fact that you are marked at the end of the day. So just work upon it. Otherwise, I feel we'll be going to have a good constructive discussion tomorrow.
Also, just one last piece of feedback. We're looking for one. Sorry for that. We're not only looking for delegates who are overpowering in the committee, we're also looking for delegates who are ensuring that every delegate's voice is heard and someone who's actually uniting the committee rather than just dominating and overpowering. So that's something that was lacking today in the unmoderated caucus. And we really hope that there's an improvement when it comes to this in tomorrow's unmoderated caucus. Koina?
Yeah, I think most of the points have been pointed out by the chairperson and your director and vice chairperson. Just reiterating, make sure that the lobbying is more formatted and more constructive tomorrow, and make sure that you have solutions in your speeches, and after the lobbying is done, make sure that you have solutions and make the most out of tomorrow. That's all.
All right. Any motions to adjourn the committee? To delegate of Denmark?
I, the delegate of Denmark, raise a motion to adjourn today's committee session.
Thank you, delegate. Good day, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Excuse me, I just
Thank you,
want to say
everyone.
something.
What?